Hey,
Hey sis, I'm good. Can you hear me? Okay, I can't hear you anymore. Oh, are you muted? It looks like you're muted. Oh yeah, okay. Well, my sis will be back in just a second, but we're going to get into it today. We have a lot of good topics for y'all. Something me and my sis both saw is those comments that Kierra Sheard recently made. So we're going to get into it. You know, she made some comments about how she doesn't allow her single friends to stay with her when they come in town or anything like that. Like she kind of makes them get a hotel. And the reason she does it is because she's concerned that her husband might sleep with them or might want to have sex with them. So I was a little troubled by that. I don't know. We're gonna talk about it today. Y'all hop in the comments, start telling us what y'all think about the situation. What's up, Sir Hell? How you doing? Glad you're here. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna get that conversation started. Hey there, princess. So okay, yes, you're gonna need your popcorn today because we finna get into it. My initial thoughts on that, I don't know. It's a lot of things that come. Hey, Brianna, how you doing? It's a lot of things that come up to me. Like, is there insecurity issues? Like, what is the deal on that? Because I know me myself personally. I don't have a problem. Well, it's all into the word friends is a huge, even though it's a small word, it's a huge term that means a whole lot. So somebody that I'm calling my friend, I think people have to understand there's levels to this. So if I'm calling someone my friend, I don't have a problem with them being around my husband. There's never going to be a fear for me personally that my husband wants to have sex with him, that they even look at have sex with my husband because they're not my friend. And so on that same tip, associates, that sort of thing, yeah, you're probably not staying at my house. Hey, sis, so I was just letting the people know what we're going to be getting into today. Talk about what the girl Kierra shared, them comments that she made.
see, I
So
think
my take on that. So what you think? What's
so.
your take on it?
Okay, so first of all, I don't mind my friends coming to stay with me. I've been married for we've been together for what 10 years, 11 years or whatever. So at this point, if a man is going to step out and all of those things, he's going to do that anyway.
That part.
So like close friends. Now, if it's an associate or something like that, like I don't think I would allow someone to just freely stay. And that's in general because I don't like people at my house in general. So like that's
Right.
just a general rule for me personally. Like if you come over, you got to go, like party over or something like that. So I mean, I will say that I think you have to be mindful about who you bring into your home in general, but when it comes to women or just people that you're unsure of, like we just need to meet at a public place. Like we don't, we might not even need to meet at my
Yes.
house.
I mean,
So,
somebody staying with you is like very personal. But
mhm.
yeah, no, princess, that's what I was kind of getting into too. Like people do use the term friend like so loosely. Like it's really levels to it. So I have acquaintances, I have associates, I have friends, but it's several layers before you get to the friendship level. So, I think sometimes people really get associates confused with friends. Just because you know
Right.
of me, we know each other, we see each other in passing, all that good stuff. Yes, maybe we vibe together. That does not mean that you're my friend. So I think me personally, I don't really have a problem with it. Is a very personal thing, but it depends on the level that we are. So like that's not if you were to come in Houston, if you were to come in town, you already know. You don't need to get no hotel. Like, hey, sis, you stay over
Okay.
here.
Or I'm gonna go stay at your brother's house because he's a lot of
All right.
fun.
Well, he do have the bug house.
And he got the pool. He got the pool.
Around the corner though, and it's all love. But I would never be thinking at all. like, oh, I'm concerned about X dot, might sleep with my husband. Because even though, me and my husband have been together 12 years or so, and I feel like even as much as I feel about my husband, that he wouldn't try anything like that, as my friend, if my husband were to get out of line and do some shit, like, I want to know that my friend is going to be like, get your ass.
Hey sis, like both of them, like either one,
Yay,
somebody needs to be ringing the alarm and
that
saying,
part,
"Hey, your
yes,
girlfriend came on to me," or "Hey, your husband came on to me," and
yes.
like
And
and
I'm like,
have the maturity to accept that some stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
some
you
women will
just
be
don't
like,
feel it.
like
Yeah.
my man wouldn't do that. Like, don't be oblivious.
Do
Take all
not be
things into
confused. Yes,
consideration.
baby. We all,
Yeah,
but like you said, both parties needs to somewhere along there, like somebody. I don't know. I have to hold both people accountable. That's just like
correct.
like in a cheating scenario. If it's a random woman, she don't know. She don't owe me anything. She doesn't owe me any loyalty, any respect, any of that. My husband does. But in a scenario where it's my real friend, like I would expect, like loyalty, respect. If he coming there, oh, like, baby, I need you to be calling me. We gonna jump him together. Like, somebody has to. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't be
I
for it.
I just don't see like I mean, I understand what she's saying. She don't want to set up the perfect position for the situation to arrive because we do know that there are cousin faiths and shaky marriages
Hey,
and so I understand. So they are newlyweds. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring that. They are new. They are less than what a year or so married, and so I can see her being very cautious and taking in some sage advice from her mother. So, there's a lot of things our parents tell us and we get to filter that. But yeah, if my husband's gonna step out, he gonna step out. It don't matter if it's the woman around the corner, the woman in the house, at the McDonald's, the maid, like it really doesn't
that
matter. If
part.
you're That's their intentions of doing that. But I
Yeah.
do understand not setting it up where there's like equal opportunity, or
Yeah.
this person's character, what y'all talk about is
Hmm.
girls on the side, or she don't mind being a side chick, you like her as a friend but not necessarily as somebody that you would leave. I get that. So I,
Facts.
I really really understand where she's coming from if she has those types of friends, because let's just be honest, like we have friends with varied background. I know I do.
True. True.
So, I have some friends and I have been that friend. I have been that person.
True.
So, like, I'm not going to take away from her
But
experience.
even if my
Yeah,
friend is like that, and even when I have been that type of in the streets and stuff, out of respect, and out of respect for my friend, it's something I would never try. And I have
right.
been in scenarios though where unfortunately I've had friends, significant others, try to get at me or try to slide the DM, whatever the case is. And I'm shutting that shit down off top. Like I'm
Yeah.
letting him know, get out of here. And I'm going. I'm that friend. And I'm gonna let him know, girl. You need to check here. Let him know. No, this is not. Like I said, we
This
gonna
is
run up on
not
him
that.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But,
mean, so I
you got some friends who don't respect boundaries. So I get her setting like
don't.
up front.
Yeah,
I understand her boundary. Like I
yeah,
understand. And if there's a bit of insecurity, and there could be, I don't know their relationship. I
true.
don't know their history. I don't know. I don't know. So I don't want to assume what she's saying is not great for her household. So, but I
Facts.
mean, like, if I gotta do all that, I just don't want it. I don't want the relationship at the end of the day
Right.
if that's
It's too much
the
stress.
hoops that I have to maintain. And
Yeah.
I have to watch your side, my side, like all the sides, and you don't stand up as a man and make a decision to not go there, you
Yeah.
know.
That's just
But
too much.
men usually don't cheat with randoms. That's another thing. You're gonna go with whatever's
True.
closest to
That's
you,
true.
you
So
know.
with Oh, let me ask you this about, since you kind of brought up the friends that have like the little checker pass, and all of that.
Mhm.
What are you? Two questions. So, we have girl talk, we be chopping it up. And, some situations, and I have some friends like this, that, you might talk about like your sexual relationship. You may talk about, how your man put it down in the bedroom, kind of all those things. So, what do you think about that? And do you think some fear, maybe sometimes from some women, comes with, oh, wait a minute, like I've been telling her, he putting it down, like, is she gonna try to, you always bragging about it. Let me see what you be talking about.
So, okay. So even with that, like I share maybe with a few or a couple of women about some things because either I'm getting some suggestions or,
Right,
we're just having that dialogue. And I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not concerned about what I tell you. I want to know the caliber. Like my caliber of my husband is that he doesn't want to be disrespectful. That's his character, his moral character as a man.
right,
So no matter what, either he's gonna handle it. I know, like we've had these discussions, and I advise that you have those discussions with your husband. You bring up some scenarios like, hey, if a woman push up on you, like, how would you handle that? Or if my friend, like have those conversations in the dating phase and even after marriage, because you can forget when you get married. Let me say the temptation is even bigger. The
right.
people who like, I'm just saying, when I
It's
got
like they really
engaged,
want you after you get married. That really good
right,
stuff
they come out of the woodworks. It's the trick of the
What's
enemy.
up,
Okay, like
dickhead?
yeah, like, hey, I ain't talked to you in a long time. It's like they understand. It's like a radar goes off.
Just all type, like,
Like where y'all come from? But that, I mean, and I think that those things happen to men too. Like women are like pressing up on. Another thing is that when a man like gets married or in a serious relationship, they already know he has the material, the
yeah,
he's marriage material. So like if a woman feels like that she could seduce and Delilah a man, like that's what they will try to do if they,
yeah,
so I understand not putting yourself in a position to be. I think Kev on stage, they had this discussion and he was like, I have a co-host that is a woman, and when we're like traveling together, we meet in the lobby. Like I don't go to her
that's
room.
bad.
I don't leave it up to speculation. And
Yeah,
so even with it being the M, so I respect that as a man, like knowing your wife and yourself and whatever, not putting yourself in any predicaments that will
yeah,
cause strains, and women with checker pat, like I'm not gonna judge you, sis. You better not
right,
ever come from mine, because those are consequences.
right,
I don't know what kind of headspace I would be in. I don't know if I'll be very calm and gently pack up his clothes, or if I'm going,
right.
because I feel like if I fight, I might take him back. And have that discussion. Let's talk about that. Like,
Yeah,
can
true.
your marriage survive an infidelity? Like,
Yeah,
can it?
yeah.
Could
Because
you?
that is one of the hardest, hardest things I
Yeah.
think that a marriage can go through. I think even, I know sickness and all those things are probably very high up there, but infidelity is hard. Infidelity is hard to get through
Right.
from, from both sides, whether it's the
The
wife,
man or the
the
woman.
husband.
Either
It's
way.
very hard because, you have to remember marriages, it's like, okay, this is us against the world. And so it's like when you break that code, like, okay, wait a minute, I thought it was us against the world. Like, what you doing? Like,
Right.
it's hard to, get that back in there, not to mention like the trust, and building that trust. Because like you said, who wants to be in a relationship where you always got to look over your shoulder? It's just too much, like that's
It
not,
is.
it's no way that can be happy where you always concerned about, oh, he's going to work. He's out 10 minutes later. He's not answering his phone, and something like that can drive you crazy too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a hard, and unfortunately, like I've experienced it, and it's hard to get through. And it takes like counseling, it takes like all of those things, and like I said, whether it's a man or it's a woman, it's very difficult, to get through. And it's we're all transparent here. Of course, we're all family. So we've
Yes.
talked about how, we have like the circle and the tribe. And so you almost need people that have had, similar circumstances. And, we've always, my husband and I have been open, to learning from other people and learning, okay, well, how do you get through this? And it's couples, that have been together 30, 40, 50 years and they've, gone through those type of scenarios. And
Hmm. Hmm.
even though, and not all the advice is, like I said, I feel like I can take advice from anybody, but I, kind of pick and choose what works best for me and in my life. So all of it, definitely not the best advice because some, advice is like antiquated, but, you know, I, like to get something, from everybody. And, it just took a lot of learning from other people, took a lot of going to
Hmm.
therapy and just figuring out how to trust, each other again and,
Right.
kind of getting that bond back strong again.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, it is. And so if you know the heartbreak of infidelity and what it can do to your marriage, then you would be cautious. I think you should be cautious. I think,
Yeah.
you know, as an individual, because I mean, everybody has a different reason for why they have stepped out or whatever the case may be. None of it is okay. But there are things along the way, that you can kind of prevent. And so if she's taking it in that regard, then I understand where she's coming from. Or if her mom experience is her a mom, are there pastors? Do anybody know that? Like, is this a bishop? Like, who she's married to? Who's her? Who is Karen Sheard married to?
And she, I want to say
I think they
her is. I
and
think so.
So if you're
In the church, right, Carrie?
well, I feel like her husband or her dad is like a pastor or something, and I may be incorrect,
So,
but we know now pastors in the church. Let's talk about it.
yeah.
I mean, some of them laying more than hands. Some women
Yeah.
are coming in there looking for opportunities and situations. So I understand
So,
that advice coming from, yep, see, her dad led bishop all over Church of God in Christ. Okay, so
yeah.
that is
Well, and her mom
power. Yeah,
knows, the type
yeah,
of, unfortunately, it's in the church. And like you
right.
said, you do have some women that are, unfortunately, like that's what they looking to do in church. But I mean, even that mindset, and I talked about it here before, like I grew up, like my mom definitely had that mindset. So I don't know if it's like with, I don't want to say older generation, but maybe like the baby boomers or like kind of dad gen, that was like a common thing because my mom definitely has that mindset. And even to this day, mom will be like, don't leave her at home with your man. Like, she's really like, she really thinks like that. And whereas a lot of
Hmm.
times I'm like, I'm trying, I ain't worried
No,
about it. I have a
yeah,
mindset, like you said, child, if he gonna cheat, he gonna cheat. Am I
yeah,
gonna,
yeah,
set it up and leave it open? No, I'm not gonna have no associates and we all have a little thought associates, maybe that for passing and they still about their life and you have to know who you're dealing with. I'm not gonna leave that type in my house, but if my friend comes in town and I'm at work, what have you, and she's staying at the house and my husband happens to be there, I'm not concerned like that. I'm just really not. If
I'm not. I'm not a person who's going to worry about if that situation. Like I'm very secure in my relationship. However, I do get her point of view. And what black man? Okay, people forget her mama said this years ago about marriage. She got that
yeah,
theology from her mother. Yeah, so like that's something that's probably been ingrained because if her daddy is a bishop and you know how like affairs kind of run can I won't say
hmm,
all put that little disclaimer out there, but I've seen it firsthand for myself about how churchmen in general can be dealing with people all over the church. Like I've seen it,
yes,
and it's not something that you should take lightly in that way because any man who is a powerful man will draw women. And that's
yes,
just it is what it is. Women are drawn to men who are powerful, who have money, who have influence and things like that.
yeah.
So
Yes, princess. So
yes,
we're talking about
Kierra Sheard.
Kierra
Hmm.
Sheard, which is Karen Clark Sheard's daughter.
Yes, Yes, yes. So that was one of the hot topics was, like, do you feel like, you know, I don't feel insecure about that. Like, maybe they got some history, and I think, is he in the church too? Is he in that atmosphere? Because even with her being who she is, she's a celebrity. She's in
True.
these spaces. Marriage is not easy per se when you are in the limelight like that, because we're talking
True.
about her right now, right? So, like, even any little thing can be like taken out of context, but I do get what how people are feeling the way they are feeling. I get it.
Mm.
I absolutely get it.
And I think so. Y'all have brought up a good point now. Well, really, 2 points to kind of maybe add some context to this, because I know I was thinking about the situation from my point of view. But you're right. She is like in the limelight. She is kind of like a celebrity status. So I couldn't even imagine, how women. Still, I'm confused because it's talking about a friend. So I'm sure
Hmm.
that women, probably run up on her husband just because of, the circles maybe that he's in and who he has access to and the celebrity, that he has access to. Okay, black man says he owns a landscaping company in Detroit. Okay, and I can even
Okay, so he ain't got no business. No, so he can find a woman at the house that he mowing the yard with. So, like, anyway, all right.
exactly. I mean, I can see her making those comments about it's off that she's concerned about that with her friends. But I don't know. I mean, once you get to a level of celebrity, like, are you concerned that, like, my friend's trying to, she might be trying to get up in here. She might be trying to get access to, everything that I got. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, they take their status very serious too. Like Princess was saying that, look, she knows she understands that atmosphere. Kojic is serious, serious business. So, and okay, and let's see, her man is worth some income too. So these are
So,
kind of like, that's gonna draw
yeah.
attention as well. So
Yeah.
everybody has to be mindful.
Hmm.
Everybody has to take accountability for their surroundings.
So
So,
maybe
right,
then, so I'm going to throw up my
the church figure up, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I
yeah.
respect her boundaries. If it works for her home and her household, and it keeps it in check, then I'm all for
True.
governing yourself accordingly.
Right.
Okay, I'm
'Cause
all for
like I
that.
said, I was just only thinking about it from our, we're thinking about it from common folk purview. But, they have all these external, kind of things. I mean, I don't know. If my husband was worth 10 million, I don't know. Maybe my friends might well try to dip in. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, it depends on what those intentions are. Like, what are their intentions?
yeah,
Why are they my friend? I think her having the discerning energy, but you know what? At the end of the day, her being a celebrity, like, how many people play in her face? Like,
true.
how many,
Exactly. Yeah.
like, I don't know what that lifestyle is like. I couldn't imagine women around me, like, just, and I know this happens because celebrities talk about all the time. You don't really know who your friend is.
Yeah.
So,
To
like,
really like you or to be like what you have
I
access to if
mean,
you're a celebrity.
look at Selena, God rest her soul. Like, that was her best friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, how
It
do
ain't
you
right.
deal with friend betrayal in general? Like, what does
Yeah.
that look like?
Oh, it's hard. It's so hard. And, the new healed me, I honestly, and I'm hoping that it doesn't happen, but I really would like to see how I respond now that I'm in a more healed place. Thankfully, since I've been in a more healed place, I have not had any of those incidences. But before I was healed, like the old me, oh, you getting cut off, like you probably gonna get
Mhm.
dragged a little bit, like I'm a blast you. It was just real. It was like super toxic. But that was a reaction to I was genuinely sincerely hurt. And so rather than, having an honest conversation or being humble enough to admit that, okay, I'm hurt by this, like I really value our friendship. At that time, it was easier for me to just cut them off and be like, fuck you, and just be done with it. And that's how I would like handle. I was, we talked about baby. I was like the president of the cutoff crew. Like, I just wasn't dealing with it. But now, and I think a lot comes with age and maturity. Now I'm in a space where I have, and the only people I consider friends. So I had to figure out. So at that time too, I didn't realize that there's levels to it. So now
Mm-hmm.
the only people that I consider friends are, folks that, it doesn't have to be this way, but for me, are folks that I've known for at least 5 to 7 years. you know
Mm-hmm.
um I don't have many folks that I consider friends. I have like maybe about 4 or 5, and so 3 or 4 of them have known since like college, so at
Mm-hmm.
least like 12, 13 years. And then of course my friends from our tribe, which I've known you guys like 7, eight
Oh, it
years
has been. It's been a
Yeah, so
while.
I have, all of mine are like long-term friends. And so coming from a healed place, if I was honest with myself, if I'm honest with myself, if something were to ever happen, I would really be hurt. And so now I feel like I'm in a space, and I would communicate that. I would, let you guys know, like, I'm hurt, like, I really value our friendship. And, whatever it is, like, is this something that we can work past? And it depends on the scenario, too. If it's something, I think with anything, some boundaries are just too egregious, and some things are too egregious that it can't be repaired. If it's
Mm-hmm.
something, though, that can be repaired, now I'm all open, to fixing things. But again, that's only with my real friends. Now, an
Yeah.
acquaintance, something like that, associate, you get out of line. You might possibly get one chance, but yeah, no, no, not the same type
Yes.
of energy at all. No.
I think with my friendships, I have really strong emotional intelligence, or so people have told me. And so, like, I feel like if you want to resolve anything, it's resolvable.
True.
Now, I've had situations, and more often than not, they usually kind of separate from me. Like, I don't even have to do anything these days, and they will walk themselves out, and that's fine. I always feel like I'm whole, I'm healed, I'm happy. So
Yeah.
this could be our time to part, and that's it.
True.
In my past, I have worked really hard to maintain friendships, and sometimes at a level that was unrealistic. So, like, now that that is like in check, I don't ever want to,
Yeah.
like, I cherish my friends. I try to keep in contact with them. We're all busy. I try to check in. If you receive a meme that's like a hey girl, how you doing? Like something to make sure that we are, communicating. And there are different levels. And so, like, sometimes I made the mistake to think that a friendship was deeper than what it really was. And
Mhm.
so that's another thing, because if you're a person who's very insightful and that you have a lot of knowledge, people gravitate to use it. And that's been my
True.
experience. Like, they'll just
True.
be friends with me for wisdom and all that stuff, but they may not pour back in. So I've been mindful of like where I leave deposits, who I, invest my
Right.
time in, and all that good stuff. But regarding like a betrayal, like, I would try to fix it. If I cherish you and I like you and
True.
I, enjoy I'm gonna try to fix it. Now, if you cut me off and it's been too much, I'm just gonna like let that be. Like, at this point, at this big age, because we all grown.
Right.
So we should
And
be
it's
able to
like, is it really
communicate,
worth it?
write a letter or something, like something.
Yeah.
Just
So,
very
Tisha,
much
I
so.
could let me ask you, because I'm so terrible about this, and I'm really, I'm trying to. I wanted to start out 22, like being very intentional, and I didn't already try. Kind of fell off, and it's just February. But I'm a work in progress. I'm still working at it. I'm really trying to work on. I am. I have sometimes trouble focusing,
Hmm.
and my life is like crazy and like busy. So I, sometimes almost forget to check in on my friends. Like, they'll be on my mind, and all those kind of things, but I forget to check in on them. Or sometimes, like, my friends will text me, and and it might take me, because honestly, like I say, the focus part, if I don't have my phone in my hand when the text comes through, I don't, I open the notifications, might be on there, but I just open my phone up. I'm usually always going 100 miles an hour. So I have to literally like almost sit down and take time to respond to my text. So it's, kind of some of those things. So I almost have to have friends that understand and that don't take it personally, because I've had some of them before too that would take it so personally. that I didn't respond to their texts or that I didn't call them back. And they're like, oh, you're a bad friend. And I'm like, no, I'm not a bad friend. Like,
Hmm.
it's just that I don't have the time. So I almost need people that I almost have to be friends with people that can see past it. Like I said, I am a really
It,
good friend. If you call me and you need something, I'm there.
it's
Don't
it's
text me though. You
kind
gotta call
of
me.
I think it's a mindfulness because if you know that you like, okay, so I think we ask for a lot of grace, and
True.
which we should allow that. But then I feel like at the same token, because we do get busy, that's great. But I was like, if you know that's an issue, get you a little planner, sis. Get you a little planner and write their name down. Like
You
whatever
bad.
you use on a daily basis, like write it down just so you can be more in tune with your friendships. Like I
Yeah.
understand that we all have full lives, and
Yeah.
like I love to foster friendships because I like put you in the box. Like I'll just put you in the box like, okay, this is the friend that although we are friends, she is
Right?
busy. So like she busy. I'm not gonna take it personal, but I can't put too much in that relationship. Like I can't put too
True.
much because I may not get it back, or it may not be consistent, or I know like, okay, we got to plan something in advance with this particular person. So
Yeah.
like really understanding that person, where they are in their life. Do they have young children? Do they have like some people who have adult kids? That's a totally different lifestyle from a toddler. And so, like,
True.
understanding those different family dynamics, and if they are a busybody or whatever. So, but I think the other person, and I've been this way too, because I've been busy and I've missed events and I've been like irresponsible with my
Yeah.
time. And so, like, me taking accountability in the friendship, like, okay, look, I need to be more intentional. If I'm missing things and I'm not showing up, am I being a really good friend? And so
Right.
like I don't want to be the person who doesn't show up when I could. And only you as a person can assess like what you're able to do. So like
True.
I as a friend, like on both sides, like, okay, understand this person may be busy, but if you're the busy friend, then you may need to organize yourself a little bit better so that you can fit little things in, even if it's like a 10-minute conversation or a text or whatever it is, something small that you can handle, because you got to know your own capacity as a
True.
friend, like what you're able to do, what's realistic, what's not realistic.
Yeah, for
And so
you.
yeah, like what is this, what did Brianna say in there? Yeah, schedule friend dates and
Yeah,
stuff
but
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
And see, I may have to because I'm bad even about like the planner. Like literally, stuff has to go. Even stuff for the kids, it has to go on my work calendar. Because if it doesn't, if it goes on my personal calendar, child, I'll snooze it. I set alarms. I'll snooze it. Like it's just, I always have and so I think that's one of my like something I'm trying to work on. I think
Yeah.
because part of my job, as part of my profession, I'm taking care of so much for everybody else that in my personal life. I don't care to do that. Like I
Yeah.
just care, for things to happen organically. And if my friends call me, if I'm available, if you ever need something, you gotta call me. Don't text me. I'm there.
See,
I
and
that's
even knowing that, like, okay, so like even at work, I'll be like, okay, what's the form of communication? Do you email, text, Teams? Like, what
yes,
is it that you utilize the most that you'll watch? Because I'm not an
yes,
email person, but you can Teams me and get me
right. Yeah, you'll get a bit.
faster.
Yeah, so kind of that sort of yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And if you text me, I will most likely text you back. If you call me, I might forget a little bit, so I'm a text. So I think like
yeah,
knowing your friend's form of communication.
yes,
But yeah, and then like there are other friends where I'm like, okay, I don't have the capacity to be the friend that you need. And so like I
right,
will be honest like that. I'm like, I think that, or I will do trials. Okay. I'm like, can I bring this person in closer or not? Because I brought people in and they had other intentions. So I have to watch that too. Like
yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm like, I'm very cautious about the circle, because
True.
my
True.
circle extends out. Like I have several different groups of friends, and all of them have different levels of expectation. And so, like, I wouldn't bring a rowdy friend to my conservative group. Like, I feel like you need
True.
different friends for different levels of your life. So
Yeah.
like you'll have your single friends that I have my single friends who ain't never been married before. They not in that headspace. Spend time with them or whatever. Then I have my marriage friends that we kick it and all that kind of stuff. Then I have like business friends and work,
True.
so like I have different levels of friends and friend groups and oh okay, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Hey husband. He's so handsome. I'm trying to give me a little Valentine's Day gift. I'm just like,
Come on
but
now.
yeah, I think you do need like, and if you a travel person, get you a travel group. Don't be waiting on your friends to get into a place to
Yeah.
travel. Because I'm not in a place right now, but I
Yeah.
love to watch my friend like travel. She done been to Ghana. She's been all over the place. Like, like
Yeah.
I think that people have two. If you have a small friend group or you just deal with family, I think you're limiting yourself to the full experience of life. There's so much
True.
life to be lived, and it
True.
doesn't
No, that's
mean that
true.
it just should come from this
But
group.
you brought up a good thing though, because you can't travel with everybody. Like
Oh,
you really can't. So there are some friends, and we
oh,
are really good friends. We are cool. Long as we ain't Houston, long as we local. Oh, it's a good time. It's a whole vibe. It's a turn up. But I know that I cannot travel with them. And even
mm-hmm.
some family, like I can't travel, and so I don't make the mistake of putting myself in those type of scenarios. And I guess we all, kind of travel differently.
Yeah,
Um, I'm more of a traveler where I work hard. I work damn hard. I got 5 kids, work a full time job, all that stuff. So when I travel, that's my time, and I feel like I owe it to myself. So if there's things I want to do, we doing it. Like I, live that up to the fullest because I feel like I'm rewarding myself. And then you got some other friends that are, they don't, me, and I'm the type of person, this is just a personal thing. I don't go anywhere if I don't have the budget for it and I don't have the budget to travel the way that I like to travel, I'm not going to go. Everybody doesn't live by that. So you kind of got the friend that's like, yeah, why we gotta go there? It's too high. It's
oh my
like,
gosh, when I was in
can't
college I
travel,
had the struggle budget.
to.
Okay,
Y'all
I
need
was in Jamaica on a struggle budget.
water. No, like I can't travel, with those type of people. The people that when you go to the restaurants, they always got to speak to the manager. No, I don't like that type of stress on my vacation. I can't do it. I cannot. I cannot. So, I've had to learn. Not all of my friends, and even though they're really good people, we all, have different preferences. We just travel differently. And so not all of my friends I can travel with.
Yes. Okay. Cause look, we on lock. Okay. I tried to. I went to Jamaica. I think I got like a tax return back. Okay. And my money was funny. And although I had a ball, I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot experience this full vacation. The level that I needed to. I mean, I
Yeah,
had a good time, but I was like, dang, I didn't plan this out right. I did not think of those
yeah,
things. That was my first international trip. I had never been out of the country before. So getting your passport, all of that stuff. And then you got your friends who don't like to do international. They just like to be local. They like to go around the corner. And you
true,
just set aside time for that. But yes, I always say there's so many travel groups that are out there.
true.
Melanin Glow, Black
Yes, Black
Travel, like
Travel Movement. Yes,
yes. So get you a group where you can travel, but traveling teaches you who you can travel with. Like you were
yes.
saying, like I don't like people who call the manager like every 5 seconds either.
I don't even like that local. And I
Me
don't know
neither.
because I've been like a waitress and that's how I made it through college. So I waited tables for several years. And so I don't know if it's because I've been there. And so I really like sympathize with them, but I just hate it. That calling the manager, not tipping well, like all those things, it just grinds my gears. And like I said, I don't know if it gets under my skin so bad because I've been there and I have been that waitress where you do so much and you don't get tipped at all. And
Because
unfortunately,
some
a lot of times,
we have a bad rep. Black folks got a
yeah,
bad rep
and
when it
that's what,
comes to
and a lot of
dining
times,
out.
unfortunately, I
So
was waiting tables. It was our people that was doing it, and not to say there were other races that was doing it
yes,
too, but it was mostly our people, that was asking for every damn thing, and we're not tipping, or either we're tipping, not. I mean, it's come. The general rule is 15%. Either they were tipping, $2 between $2 and $5 on $100 bill. Like, it's not.
that was all their money, sis. They blew it on the food. They ain't bought it.
Again, though, it's about budgeting. So when you
Yes.
budget, you're going to go out to eat. The tip needs to be included in that budget.
Look, I don't disagree. I do not go out like that. Like that is look.
Yeah,
Oh, my soda is flat. Now, is that
yeah,
really the waitress' fault? It's really not. Somebody need to go back there and change the machines. And you know about that life if you done worked at a fast food place. And I think I come from a place of experience because some people just don't have any understanding, or they feel like they should
you
be,
know,
you need to be doing X, Y, and Z. And like I don't like that. Like I'm not a fan of that. With family,
it,
friends, it don't matter who it is. Like, come
yeah.
on.
And
Yeah.
so, even outside of traveling, even like going out to eat, like, I don't, if that's you, you always got to speak to the manager, you always got a problem, this and that. I don't, because baby, I love to eat. That's one of the happiest parts of my, baby, I love to eat. I love to go. And see, I'm always that friend. You might not can get a hold of my ass, but call me or text me when I to eat. Baby, I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna always have time to do that. I like to eat. I like to go to restaurants, and that's that's self care for me, honey. Like I like to go and do that. So it's like to me, it's just ruin. It'll ruin like my whole experience, and I have to watch
Yes.
myself because I get so. I think I almost take it so personally. And I'll just get like upset, I stop talking. I'm like, because now you done ruined like my whole mood for
Your dining experience has been ruined.
like, what you got to do all that. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just, it's certain things and certain people that, and it doesn't make them a bad person at all. We just have preferences, and I just know, okay, I don't need to go out to eat with you because I'm serious about my tasties, and you finna ruin my experience. Like, no, we can go get some fast food or something together. Maybe we can cook at the house. We can have a house party, and I'm a cook or whatever. But I think you just have
Yeah.
to know who you can do certain stuff with.
Yeah, you definitely have to figure out like, okay, this is the friend and like this like I got a turn up crew group, okay, like that's a turn up crew. I got the marriage friends, I have some business friends and some acquaintances, and I think it's important to have different groups and don't have the expectation that every friend group will be able to be at every level of your life. And so,
True.
like, to keep that in perspective, that as you move, as you grow, as your family starts to get better, healed, and whole, some of the people going to naturally fall off. And then some people are just going to be where they at because that is
True.
where they at. So, like, sometimes we try to, like, build a friend and do all of that stuff. That's exhausting. And
It is.
I don't recommend it. Let
Yeah,
them be
that's
where
how you
they at.
pouring.
Yeah, yeah. What do you want for yourself as a
Yeah,
friend?
exactly.
So, yeah, I think friendship is like, I feel like if I've ever lost a friend, I think it hurts. But I think the older that I get, that I understand how people transition and that it's nothing personal on my end. Even if I'm gonna be the villain in that situation, that's fine as long as it's over. Blame it on me. Say it's
Right?
my
That
fault.
was myself. Me, sis. Yes, I did. Yep, yep.
Yeah, I did it. I did it, and
And
that is what it is.
I didn't understand that, that there were like certain friend groups that, didn't mesh well, or like I would almost have a problem with it. So I had an incident before with a friend, and this was way back then. I was a lot younger. She was having a party, and
Hmm.
she said she was inviting, I guess, her turned down friends, and that were a whole nother. And at the time, I was turned up, and that's just what I was doing, and that's just me naturally. And I always say, I'm loud, I'm outgoing, I'm outspoken, I'm all those things. So that's not for everybody. And I'm okay with it. I figured that out and that's cool. It's good. But my friend, I guess she was having friends that were more turned down. And she was kind of like, yeah, no, I don't really want to mix friends like that. She was
Mm-hmm.
like, this really ain't your crowd. The way that she was saying it. And I'm like, well, I don't care if it's my crowd or not. Like, I'm your friend. You having a party. Like, I'm up. So anyway, we ended up like falling out about that because I could not understand, you know, you have a party. Why am I not allowed to come? So then, and of course, at the time, baby, everything was about me, and I'm already melodramatic. And I was like, "Are you embarrassing me or something? You don't want your friends to know like that you got a turn up friend or this and that." And it was just a whole big thing. And so I ended up falling out with her because I didn't understand. And so I think what it was exactly what you're saying. Maybe I don't know if it was business friends. I don't know if whatever the case it was. But for whatever reason, she just didn't feel like, it was going to be, a good scenario. She didn't feel like it was going to mesh well.
I'll say this, like I have one of my best friends, okay, best sister friends, did that, especially when she was younger. So she would separate all of her things. And I think what it really boiled down to is that one, she didn't want to expose all of the things within herself. And I think
Mm,
sometimes when we don't want to, eh, there's some form of, am I going to be shamed for this? I don't know how these people would react. Like, I feel like when you, over time, you get more into yourself and you heal and whatever, and you kind of show up, and this is just who you are, and you're okay with it. But I think when you're going through those different stages of life and you don't know who you are, you don't want people to, you don't want to be misrepresented in a way. Like, you don't want people to know the real you, essentially. And so, like, you don't want somebody to see you in a light. Say you smoke or something like that, but you only do it around this crew. Or say you only drink,
true.
but you only do it around this crew because, for whatever reason. Or when you show up business, like, you think you can only show up to certain, you can't show up 100% of the time to whomever. Like, and I think that's just like a struggle for people sometimes because they don't want to expose themselves all the way 100% to their friends. And I think that's a her problem at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah.
that's a her problem,
Hmm.
because I was like, we talk about everything. Like, why can't,
Yeah.
or you may not be the vibe, or maybe I just don't want to introduce you to the group. And I've been like that too in certain aspects. I'm like, nope. Or like, you got shaky friends with a relationships that are like dramatic, right?
True.
Like,
True.
they always have something going on, or whatever the case may be. You may not want to introduce that to the couple, because like when people get divorced or when people are no longer together, it can be like a stressor on the group.
Yeah.
And so,
It's hard.
like,
It's hard.
yeah, so like, I want couples, you can't, like, if divorce happens, that's fine, whatever. But my thing is, I prefer more solid relationships in certain friend groups because
True.
the consistency is just better for me.
Right?
Like, it just,
You don't want to hear about Mike and Sheila fighting all the damn time. Like so that just
I'm
bring down
going up
the
this hill
whole
to save my marriage. Like,
bring down the
and you like,
whole
again, you climbing the mountain again?
group. Like we're trying to have a good time. So a boundary for me too has been like not allowing family, with my
Mm,
marriage circle. And even though love, family, all that good stuff, and there are some good couples, but I don't mix those groups because within my marriage circle groups, I talk about a lot of, we are very transparent and we talk about a lot of things that happen within our marriage. And I think
mm-hmm.
we all know with family, you'll let it go and you'll get through it as a couple and they still side eye them and they still holding a grudge. So that's been a boundary for me. I don't mix family with my marriage groups or whatever. If I'm having something, having an event, baby shower, what have you, yes, my marriage friends gonna be there, my family gonna be there. But when I'm going on like couples retreats or couples groups with my marriage friends, I'm not going to. Even though I have some good couples in my family, I'm not going to invite like my cousins or like my brother and their spouse or anything like that because I just don't need to be just bad. Like, I don't even know that business like that. Like I don't know, but I just don't.
I
I
mean,
don't think.
I'm not against it because my mom is married. Actually, I do want to take her and her husband on the trip. I'm open to like because I know my mom is like laid back and all of these things. Like it's fine for me. Like I wouldn't see it an issue. I won't invite singles to like group
Couple
events.
shit.
Like I probably won't do that. Like if it's couples, and then if you got the man who stay at home, like he don't. You're not a couple to me. So you may not get invited to the couple events if your
True.
husband or your wife is always at home. Like that's
Yeah,
not
you're not doing things. Yeah. It's not, no, I mean, I get that. I get
I
that.
mean, some people are just not interactive, and I hate to exclude people, but I'm like, you gonna be by yourself. What if we teaming up and like I don't want to have to babysit anybody in a
Yeah, it
group.
kills the vibe. And I'm like, and my situation is whole different too. So I'm married to my first cousin's husband's brother. So you have two
Hmm.
families. So basically two cousins
Double
married to each
kin.
other. Yeah, so it's double. So you have two families that's interconnected, and if we're not careful, like things can go awry, and the message can get misconstrued real quick. I can say one
Hmm.
three to somebody, and by the time it gets to the other side of the family, now it's 4, 5, 6. Like it's just no, because and messages can get misconstrued, and this that, and the third. So we have to be very mindful. So we have a dynamic that we have to be very mindful and almost very careful about what we say, to different family members because now it's two families. My side and his side are both interconnected. And so you get kind of double the, I don't want to say mess, but sometimes it is, people are kind of talking back and forth. So it's, yeah. And I think that's a reason why I'm not where I'm open to allowing family, to be in my marriage circle or to be in circles where I'm, being really as transparent, about my marriage and, kind of all those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, I think it's an opportunity for everybody to kind of learn and enjoy each other and be exposed. But yeah, I don't mind mixing for big celebrations.
Yeah.
I'm open to that.
Mhm.
But like on more intimate things, I do kind of divide. I divide
Yeah.
out what like even with my friends, we're like, okay, so are we doing husbands? Are we doing other
Yeah.
friends? Like we plan like that, and I really like that kind of planning because
Mhm.
then you got to figure out if you invite somebody who don't know the whole group. Okay, now you're gonna have to like babysit and attend to, and so
True.
like you're gonna have to make sure they feel well. At least that's how I operate. Like I want to make sure they feel comfortable and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do like logistics. I'm like, okay, what are we
Yes. Me
doing?
too. I'm
What's
like,
the time of day? It's a
yeah.
whole thing.
Are we
It's a
having
whole
kids?
thing.
Not having kids? Like, yeah. What is the?
Correct. Okay. And then you gotta think about people with bad kids. Like I won't invite them.
Yeah. I'm sorry. And especially to my house, if you have kids that, if I can't discipline your kids, I'm sorry, they don't need to come over. Like, no. It is, and low key, I'll probably be the friend with the bad kids, but I handle my bad kids. I'm not gonna let my kids tear up your house or nothing like that. I handle mine. You have some people that got bad kids and they don't know that they or they are in denial about their child's behavior and they just don't handle it. Like in that peeve of mine, like if no, I got all the kids, child. I handle mine, and I'm not. To me, that's so disrespectful. I would never take my kids to somebody's house and let them just run around and write on the walls and tear up people's stuff. It's disrespectful to me, and like it's just not tasteful at all. Even if I
So
see that my kids are getting towards their way, I'm gonna, discipline them. I'm like, hey, no.
yeah, I mean like so that's like a new area because I'm fairly new in this game, 2 years in the game. And so like I'm seeing how relationships play out where the children, like, you have two different parenting styles, like, like you operate your kids, y'all, one might be like iron hammer, or like they discipline, the other one is gentle parenting. Like, there's just like these two different
Yes.
types, and like how you guys deal with certain things may be different. Like, how do you maneuver when maybe your friend is practicing gentle parenting and you are the person who don't mind a little pop pop? Like, so how do you, as you're like sleepovers and things like that,
Yeah.
like, like, how do
For
you maneuver
me,
with that?
it's very much so, and I make this clear to my friends, and it might be a little toxic, but I'm very much so like, if I can't discipline your child, they don't need to be with me like by themselves, like when you're not around. Because
Mm-hmm.
if they're at my house, the same way I love on my kids, the same way I feed my kids, all those things, I'm gonna do that the same exact way for them. It's all equality, but the same way I discipline my kids, like your child is gonna get the same discipline. And of course, I would never like abuse or mistreat anybody's child,
Yeah, yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that. But if they get them rowdy, like you're not gonna write on my wall, you're not gonna do any of those kind of things. And so if that's almost a conversation I feel like you have to have beforehand. If
Mm-hmm.
that's a concern, because I would hate to like lose a friend or lose a friendship, over something, with a child, which of course, and to everybody, of course, their child is the most precious thing, and some parents feel like, oh, my angel would never do that. And yeah,
No, my 2-year-old is a no limit soldier. Okay, so like I just feel like
gang, gang,
she got all the personality. So I understand. Like, right now we're in the phase of no, and like
yeah,
everything is no, and and I want her to use her little voice because I need her to be able to. Some people just will stifle that, but yes,
yeah,
I do agree. Like, you need to have like a dialogue about, or you
yeah,
you see how they treat their child. I may
true,
not leave my child with you, like, or if you respect me enough, how I treat my child. So that's the same level of respect that I'm hoping that you will give my child. And I think that's sometimes gets lost in the sauce a little bit, because I thought you would treat my child how I treat my child, not the way you feel comfortable treating my child.
yeah. Well, I mean, and
Mm.
I think if a parent does practice what is like gentle parenting, and they don't like
Yes.
their kids or any of those kind of things, I think that definitely needs to be a conversation. You know,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
hey, I don't, I don't spank them. I don't, whatever the case is. So, and make sure that your friend is comfortable with that. As for me, I'm going to just tell you, well, nah, little Johnny ain't going to be able to stay over here. Like, I got 5 kids over here. I'm not going to be able to do it. Because the other thing that's a big thing for me, too, I don't like to make difference between children or for it to
Mm,
ever appear. And I think that's a
yeah.
personal thing for me, just from different. I don't, I would never even want it to ever appear that I was making different, between children.
Look
So
at
I would
Stella.
never
That was
want to let,
me. Okay. I was the auntie who was like, "No, I'm not doing that." Like, I was just the fine auntie who was doing her thing, and all the kids really have a strong level of respect for me.
yeah,
However, this little girl dog walking me. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, she dog walking me. And I get it now as a parent, because I think when you
yeah,
single, you don't have no kids, you don't really have a grasp. Like, you got an idea, you got your thoughts, but now all of that stuff is like, now you like, oh, you gonna see. My mom was like, oh, you gonna see when you have your own kids. I
yeah.
was like, well, maybe I will. Okay. And I and
It's
I did.
different,
Okay.
with your child and when you're with them
Yeah.
every day, all day. It's different. It's very different. Like, I, yeah, you're right. So, I mean, it's true. Like, some people just been denial. And so for us, so we don't lose, so I wouldn't lose my friendship with that person. Yeah, no, don't leave little Johnny over here because he
Yeah.
gonna get the pop. He gonna
Hey,
get it. Like,
sure.
And like I said, I would never want my kids to ever feel like I'm making difference,
Mhm.
between them. So
Mhm.
I'm not going to let another child in the front of them get away with things that I don't let them get away with. So it's,
Right. Right.
for me, it's about like being equitable, and even when I have, like my nieces and, my nephews at my house, we all, everybody gets treated the exact same way. Like, it's, yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. So, okay, Brianna, I know you practice gentle parenting. So I think it would probably have to be a conversation with us, between us, on, what exactly that would look like. Yeah, it would definitely have to be a conversation. But you know your kids too. If you practice gentle parenting and you know your kids ain't gonna be writing on the walls and tearing my house up, then that's a different conversation. But I'm kind of more speaking to the parents that are like kind of delusional, and they know their kids right on the wall. They know their kids cut the fool, and they do gentle
Yeah.
parenting. And so you want to
Or
leave them
you
with
know
me
your
for
kid
24
is
hours?
on
Yeah,
when your child is on the spectrum and things like that, and you don't disclose
you don't
them
disclose.
being on the
Yeah.
spectrum, like you need to kind of be. I know there's stigmas around it, but
You
equip
have to
me
be
before
open
I'm in the
though.
situation.
Yeah, I mean, you want to have a successful. The thing about it is, you want it to be successful for your friend and for the child. So give your friend the tools, and let them know like what resources or whatever they might need to be as successful as they can be. And like you, and so Brianna, and we discounted gentle parenting because it's an art to that too. And that's just an art form that I'm not experienced with. So because I don't know and I don't have the tools, for the gentle parenting, it will definitely be something, that we have to like talk through. You know,
I feel like gentle parenting is like it takes its patience, okay, for
patience.
one
Yeah,
thing. Like you're explaining everything, you are assessing their emotions and their feelings, and like you are redirecting more versus
yeah,
like when I was coming up, you get popped about 10 times. Eventually, you may not do it again, but
that's
at
like
the end of the day,
redirection.
like that's not guaranteed either, because I think with children and them being like really young and they're still developing, they're still exploring. So like I do a little
Girl,
mixture, because me and my husband, I was like, I'm not gonna whoop my child, I'm not gonna do all of that, I'm not doing that. And he like, what child you finna have with me? Not that it's like, abusive or anything like that, because there is the fine line of, discipline, a pop, and then beaten. I think there's a
true.
totally different levels, but some people see them all the same. And I respect that. But we do like a combination. Okay. We do a
Yeah,
combination of redirection, of being gentle, hearing feelings. And because I know my mom was like, if I would have said no, like my daughter says no, like it would be a problem.
yes, true, true, true.
It would be a problem.
And it's
Yeah.
something about
So
those girls. It's something about the girls. Even with my daughter, it's even she's only 9 months, but even she's kind of in that stage where she's like falling out about things, and I have to, because I'm like a boy mom, tried and true. My first four were boys. I have three bonus sons, so I'm hard. And I grew up three brothers. I am very hard, and with my boys, I'm hard, and I talk to them. They know they can come to me. And I'm an emotion safe place. But at the same time, I think I just, kind of speak hard and all those things. And I shouldn't say hard, but it's very like more geared towards men and more geared towards boys, because what I'm noticing with boys, you can talk to them and say certain things, a certain way to them that you can't necessarily say. And even though my daughter is only like 8, 9 months, I'm already noticing that. And that I can't be, like as tough or, as so direct as I am with my boys, even though they're young. I can't
yes,
be,
Bree.
I
Ooh.
can imagine. Yeah, it takes a lot of time, but I recognize I can't be, like that same way already. I'm noticing that I can't be that way with her. So even just between boys and girls, even if you have the exact same parenting style, you have to like adjust it. You have to alter. Even between kids,
Yes,
I
you do.
have, I have a little bit of personality of everybody. And my first one, amazing. He minds all that stuff. My second one, he tastes my gangster every day, like every day. So I have to use a certain level of patience with him,
Now
and
that's
I
it.
have
That
to
second
like,
child. That
yeah,
second child. That's why I was like,
I
man.
now. And so I'm kind of like, oh, and my mom, and see, I don't remember. I thought I was a decent child. And my mom was always like, no, you just getting back, so he's very, like very outspoken, and he does all these things and so active, kind of hyperactive. And so he's totally different from my first child. So I think they all kind of have different personalities. So I've
Hmm.
almost had to adjust, even though it's the same parenting style, I've had to adjust on how I deal with each one of them. Because,
Right.
each child to child is different. It's the I don't think there's any perfect way to parent. It's all trial and error. You do the best that you can.
I want to know from the people who have multiple kids, such as yourself, because I have one. Me and my husband in the process of deciding if we want another one. Then we're just being transparent. And baby, I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence, like on the other side of the fence across the street. Like, I don't think we're even in the same book right now. Right. So I'm trying to figure out how do y'all do this multiple thing? Because the math ain't mathing for me. Like, what does that look like? Because I am struggling with it. I'm struggling with the thought. Like, I feel like I'm gonna track this journey of me getting into the process of having another child. And I know it's like this is just a touchy situation because men want what they want, but I was like, do you
True.
understand the
Yeah, I mean,
process?
it's a lot, well, just from the perspective of pregnancy and what your body goes
Hmm.
through and all those things.
Hmm.
But for me, it's been like now I think we're at a really good place. And I'm not gonna even lie and say that it wasn't hard. Like we
Hmm.
had you guys are, Charlie is two. And so when
Hmm.
possibly the next junior comes along, I'm gonna go ahead and speak into existence and it's gonna be he'll
Dang, where's the alcohol? Like, I'm drinking water. I need something stronger for this conversation.
when he came along. I'm gonna go ahead and speak into existence and call him a he. She'd be three. So that's a good age gap. What made
Hmm.
mine really difficult at one point, we had three in diapers at one time. What made mine difficult is that they were all behind each other. But kind of the pros to that, I was still in baby mode. So I never got out.
Mm.
It was like, okay, okay, there's just more diapers to change. I was still making bottles. I was still doing all of that. For me, it's actually been harder with my daughter because before her, our youngest one was 5. And so
Hmm.
now it's actually been harder with one because I had to get back into baby mode. So the advice I could definitely give is you definitely don't want them to get too far apart because
Hmm.
back to enjoying your bed with your husband by yourself. You're not making bottles and changing all those things. It's hard to. It's really hard.
Am I selfish? Like, I'm gonna ask. Am I selfish? Because I mean, like, I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know. Like,
Yeah, I think sometimes this expectation, this unrealistic
yeah.
expectation is on us as women, that's what you like, you should want kids. How do you not want to be a mother again? And it's unrealistic. We have different views and stuff too. And if that's not something, that you necessarily want, but so does your husband, but you don't have to answer if I'm a person. Does your husband want another child?
Let
Want
me
another
let me let me let me put it like this. So I'm kind of a I'm not a numbers person, but I was like, on a scale from 1 to 10, where you at, right? And he was like, I'm at an 8. And I said, oh, I'm at a 3. I'm at a 3.
so he wants another.
He wants another one. And he could have had it. Like, I even waited 5 years because, I've been transparent about my road to motherhood. I think I'm a
Yeah.
document it because I kind of want to understand, like, I know there are other women out there like me. Okay, what I don't want to
Yeah.
do is have a child and be resentful. So I'm
True.
trying to, like, be mindful. I'm gonna probably get into some counseling and stuff,
So
and
let's
like, I'm serious.
know, like, what are your cons as far as having a baby? What are the things that you're hesitant about and that you're thinking about that's making you, be at a 3?
Right, Estella. I think she's saying now, so I'm getting ready to try to launch a business and things like that. So that's one aspect of it. That may take me away. I may be moving and shaking a little bit. I like my sleep. It's just now getting back to normal. Like, I like the fact that we have a system in place already. I like that, we have a very good understanding of our daughter. And like, ah, I just feel like, I like freedom too. Like, a party of
True.
3 is good for me. Like a party. I'm like, and I was like, well, maybe it's a little bit of maybe it's shallow because, I think my max, like back in the day, I was like, I want 2 girls and 2 boys, and now I'm like, what was I on that I thought that would have been okay? Like, in what universe could I have been on? And I love, like, I came from a big family, right? And I
Yeah.
think, I done brought something. Okay, I think this is what it is. I think that because I grew up in a family who, like, I don't want to change my lifestyle too, because kids, they just
True.
suck everything out
True.
you. Okay, right? And so I think it just came to me now. I was like, well, maybe I have this idea that when you have a larger family, that you can't live the lifestyle that you want to live. And I was
True.
like, maybe that's like maybe that's like one of the beliefs that I have to kind of work through, because I have a family. My mom was a single parent, and she had 5 girls. And so, like, I had to keep my shoes clean. Like, and even now, like, I don't buy a whole bunch of things. And when I do buy them, I keep them like for a very long time. So that may be something I told my husband, I think it's a me thing. I got to figure out this thing, but like, give me some time, because I'm like,
So are you concerned that if you have more, you might not be able to give them the time and energy so is that something that you
yes,
feel as a child that you weren't given the time and energy that you desired?
to a degree, yes, because you got 5 kids. There's only so much you can
True.
do when you're a
I
single
couldn't imagine
parent.
as a
So
single parent. I couldn't imagine that.
yeah. So, like, okay, this is where it gets fun. Okay, Bree. All right, I'm gonna hold you to that. I love 3-year-olds. The transition from
Yeah.
toddler to school age is where it gets fun. Okay, all right. I'm gonna hold on now, but I was like, dang, I gotta start all over. Like, I love the baby, but then that
Yeah.
1 to 2, that tested me. Like, my husband was
But
great with
but
that, but
all
that
the things
tested me.
you said is too, like you can incorporate even with the schedule and with the routine, you can
Mm-hmm.
incorporate a new baby into that.
I
And
think that's what it is.
the same way you had to transition with your little one now, you can do that same thing. And just think you've
Girl,
done it
2
before.
car seats, too
And
much. That's
good
what.
at it. But you know how to do it now. You did it. I have no experience at all. Now
But
you
see,
have some
look,
experience.
I had experience because I have 2 younger sisters. So,
Mm,
like, I'm in the middle. So I have the
okay.
older ones and the younger ones. And so, like, oh, God bless, my sister, who's no longer here. She was like second in command when it came to us. And so, like,
She
I
was the
could
oldest.
see, yeah, she's the oldest, and my mom being, like, this is why it's important for husbands to be heavily involved. My husband is very much so involved. However, like, I'm like, oh, is this like, am I at capacity if I have another kid? Like, will I be able to handle that? So those are like questions that I ask myself, like, because I think we're sometimes expected to be all of these things, and it's just
Yeah.
like, I may not be her. Like, some people, I feel like it's their ministry to be parents. Like,
True.
that is just something that they revel in, and it's like their lives. Like,
Yes.
everything surrounds their kids, and like, that ain't me.
Well, yeah.
Like, that is not me. I love being a parent. I love pouring in. I love all those things, but like, my identity isn't wrapped in
And being a mother.
right. And so, like, I think,
That's okay. There's nothing
yeah.
wrong.
Whew. Okay, we had a counseling session. I needed that, y'all. Y'all don't know how I needed that. I needed that. I needed that.
I'm biases, I talk, and then the other thing too, and like Bree said, once they get past coming that 3 year mark, child, you want to have two. Baby, I don't have to entertain nobody. You see, I
See,
get
and that was the plus. And I was like, is that the only reason I should have another kid is to keep the other one
girl,
occupied? Like, is that a thing? Like that
I'll
happened. Like,
be honest. I don't know what I would do if I just had one of it. I had to entertain a 5 year old all day. I hate when somebody sick home from school and the other three at school. Child, I'm not trying to like. I love being a mom and all that good stuff, but no, I think I've gotten spoiled by they entertain each other.
yeah.
Like I don't have, and
I'm
then
trying to think about did my mom that's probably what happened with us. Like we were too busy playing with each other, having fun to be even paying attention about the attention that we weren't getting, at the end of the day. So yeah, I think I'm just maybe more
think
conscious.
about for my kids, like the relationship that I have with my brothers, like, I've been transparent. I don't think some situations, somehow I've had it so hard that I don't think I would have made it without my brothers. And so I
Mm,
really want my kids to have that because even to this day, the relationship that I had, like, yeah, I
girl, I was like, we
love,
finna have a will, have a trust. She gonna be a trust fund baby. We gonna figure that thing. We gonna write it and make it sure it's airtight. Like in my mind, that's where I was at. I was just happy to have one. So I was
yeah,
like, ooh, this is tough. And it was tougher than what I imagined it to be
yeah,
because, having kids, there's no manual for it. You kind of have to
yeah.
figure out, and then they're their own spirit, their own energy, and all of those things. And so, like, you have to, okay, Bree, we're not alone. Girl, I'm gonna hit you up with these multiple kids. Everybody who had multiple kids, give me some of your best tips. Leave it in the
Yes,
comments to make sure you like, subscribe to a Black
girl.
Man Unfiltered network, okay? And
Yo,
just want to
we
stop and
want to
say
know.
hello to all who have joined today. Like, we just appreciate you so much. So,
Yes, and
and
y'all in the
sharing.
comments, and we appreciate everything
I'm
that
overthinking
you
it,
guys.
Stella. You're right. You gonna
Yes,
jinx your stuff with hey, now, don't be
right.
cussing at me. You too
True,
loud,
true.
Stella. You are too loud. But I wanted twins. When I was
Right,
like,
and
oh,
then
I
you
wanted
could be,
I
yeah.
said,
Well,
Lord, the Lord knew what I needed.
and so but you know what? It's like I love that you're even like being so intentional about this and really like kind of thinking through this. I'll be honest. I didn't plan to have 5 kids. I really did not. The first shot, and I love that you guys, waited the 5 years and were really intentional and really thought about it. You did your healing and all those things. Child wasn't healed. I was like 21. I got pregnant. And so
Mm,
and I
mm.
ended up, with like the first. So I didn't plan to have multiple kids, but I realized, okay, I can do this. Like this parenting thing, I can do this. But even with 5, you see, I haven't lost my identity. Child, I'm still down for the turn.
See, and I love that about you. Like I see you doing your thing because you have like the support system in the tribe, and I'm like, girl, you got the support system in the tribe too. Like, why are you tripping? So,
right?
like, I really, like, I am. Estella is very much so. I live in my head, child. I have a couch.
Yeah,
I got books in there. Like, it's comfortable for me to be living in my head, but I'm definitely going to be more mindful and be more open. That's why I was like, I'm going to go to counseling to kind of dig deep into some of those things or some of those fears that I have
yeah.
around parenting multiple
Multiple kids,
kids.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because you
because
could be coming from a place. I saw your comment, Bree. You are so right. So me and my husband took all 4 of the kids to Disney World this past summer. And it was like, yeah, it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. Let's just say we probably could have bought a car, like a Corolla or something. Like, yeah, it's a
and
whole
then like,
process.
oh, okay, this is another thing. Now I know this is something they'll be like, you're not in your femininity, but like I think about the cost, right? Like I want to be able to take my daughter places and not have to set
Yeah,
like me and my husband, like everything is together and like so like I'm over here hustling in my mind. Like I know I should be resting and getting my body prepared. So even though I'm on the fence, like I've been working out, I've been exercising, I've been like getting my body ready to go on this next journey. Like, and I'm gonna make a decision like once we get to the point of where I can't have another baby in the fall. We ain't doing that. It's too busy. So like I'm like planning out what I'm going to do. I'm
I
just
love that
taking
you're
the
planning it
steps.
all though.
So yeah, and I'm like, okay, I need another job or I need this. Like I'm thinking like that. And I'm like, some men would be like, a woman should just have to rest. But I'm like, I think
Yeah,
about
I
those things
mean, like in
too.
today's society, like you need, two incomes, and especially to
Yeah.
have a larger, family. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that I think probably has been not a toxic trait, but has been almost to my detriment a little bit because I'm like big on making sure, even though we have 5 kids, making sure that, they have the best of and that we're still providing, that
Hmm.
same lifestyle for them that, we would have if we had 1 or 2 kids. But you can make it work with a big family, the
Yeah.
same way like, when we do trips and stuff, we take them to Disney, we saved for that. The
Right.
same way you save, you might just have to put a little more in, but the same way you say so whatever the case is, that's what we did. And we travel a lot with our kids. We want
Y'all
them
be
to
gone. Let me tell y'all, these people right here are jet setters. Okay.
I
They would not let anybody slow them down.
kids, yeah. And so when we go play, and so when my kids see my pictures and they're like, "Oh, mommy, I want to do that." It's just in me to be like, okay, and I love that me and my kids can check stuff off of our bucket list at the same time. Like I
Girl, I
love
had
that.
anxiety trying to go to the grocery store with one baby. Imagine, like, I was like, I don't know how my mom did 5 heads, like, did hair, did like, I don't know. Like, my mom is my superhero because I'm
Yeah,
thinking about all the things that she had to be in order
yeah.
for us
We were growing
to
up. Yeah,
thrive. Like, I give my mom all the flowers on that tip. But yeah, like, I'm just going, what is this? I remember the day. Yeah. Child, and I kept my pregnancy on the low. Okay,
I
like I didn't really
know.
tell nobody till I was like, I didn't make it public till I was about what 6.5, 7 months.
Girl.
Yeah, and you couldn't
I
even tell I was pregnant.
we started crying. I think we all started crying.
Yeah, yeah, it was a big deal. So just a little background, like I am a ovarian cancer survivor. So I just want to like I am that person. I am very conscious about my health, like all of those things. And so my baby is literally a miracle child. Like she's supposed to be here, but like there were so many things that I did to get her there, so much healing that I had to do to
Yeah,
get her there. So like when my husband, like when men be like, I want another child, I'm like, oh, it ain't simple for me. Like it is not that
yeah,
simple for me to be
true.
like, because I think about all those things. And I've been in remission
Yeah,
for 11 years. So I haven't had anything come back or anything like that. So oh child, like it's emotional for me to
yeah,
go there, to know what I had to do to get her here on earth side. So like oh child, I have
yeah.
to meditate, I have to get into my
Right,
good
get it
old
together.
word.
Hey,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, but
Hey.
a lot, that you have. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so not just, kind of like you said, once they get Earthside, just the whole. And by the way, I love so much like how intentional you are about things and how you plan it. Because I remember when you were pregnant, with your daughter. Now and how like just intentional you were about everything and how you were still exercising and you were eating good and you were like doing all the right stuff. And I just loved it. I'm like, oh, you're doing so good. You were really like, so, it was so, it's so like now that he said like how you planned it out. And I just love like how you like really plan out everything. Like, I think that's
Girl,
y'all up for success anyway.
babies ain't look, some people be like that my child was an accident. If you're not preventing, you always practicing. So like that's been my thing. Like I love to practice because I'm protected.
Yeah.
So like whether it's a pill or condom or whatever, like whatever it is to prevent, that's what I'm gonna do. Ain't no
Girl,
whoopsie daisies around here. Like some
girl,
people like,
I had what, 3 of them. Well, and I think the thing was too, I didn't mind. I was kind of of the mindset I wasn't trying to get pregnant, but it was kind of like, well, if it happens, It'll
Yeah.
be
That
fine.
wasn't me, girl. I was counting ovulation. I had a calendar. Like I knew it. Like I knew all the stuff. Like I knew, and so I was not playing no games. So ain't nothing changed. I'm still gonna be doing that. I'm still gonna be tracking. I'm like, we're not leaving it
I
up to
make
chance.
sure. Well, see, I had kind of a similar, so I struggled with like thyroids and always had like
Mm-hmm.
endocrine issues since I was like 16. So doctors had told me early on that I would not be able to have kids without help.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it was kind of a thing for me, like when I had the first one, I'm like, oh my God, like look at God. Like with no
Right.
help, with nothing. And so my husband is like still prideful about that to this day. They're
Dun, dun,
like,
dun, dun, right.
you couldn't have no kids, and I was 5.
Right.
So it was almost like every time I would get pregnant, it was like, wow, like, like, wow, like it was just a testament to me. It was like, look at God.
Right.
Like, I mean, so except it never was. I was like, okay, well, if I get pregnant, it's okay. Like, it's
Yeah.
fine, whatever. Like, every time, though, it was like, look at God, you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I see that because I didn't have any assistance getting pregnant with my
Yeah,
baby. And so that was another thing. And I delivered her natural. Like, girl, I'm like, ooh, I am not my hair. Like I am
right?
I'm that
You did
I,
deliver
let, let's
me.
be in the
I
woods,
was
okay, a home
like,
birth or
hey.
something. That's me.
You'll be fine,
I'm so
sis. You'll
earthy.
be fine.
I think I'll be okay, but I just wanted to, if there's any women out there struggling, hit me up in my DM on s.fitfashion on Instagram if you would like to share your tips and your tricks about multiple kids or getting prepared. Like I'm gonna go on this journey because I feel like I'm not the only one. Because if you're an ambitious
Mhm.
woman and you have like, I love that Sir Howe's wife, she has the 4 kids and has the business and stuff like that.
Yes.
So those are, I'm like, okay, I need other friend groups that are mommies and
Right.
bosses, like, because I'm like, okay, what does that look like if you have a
Yeah.
family, you're married, you're a wife, you're a mother, and then you have your business and stuff? Like, how do you manage
Well,
all of that?
you definitely have to have so shout out to Sir Hell. You have to have a supportive husband. You
Mm,
definitely do. And you have to have a village.
right.
You definitely have to have, and definitely there's supportive husband first and foremost. And I've always openly and transparently said that I could never be who I am or do what I do if it was not for my husband. I could never.
Yeah.
I manage, a corporate 175 people. It's no way. I work 60, 70 hours a week. I could never do if it wasn't, for my husband. You have to have
Yeah.
somebody, that's kind of that doesn't, and I don't know why, sometimes we get caught up on these gender roles. You have to have somebody that's willing to help you with the kids, help you. That's right. You black man, you're right. And I've said it transparently. That's one thing, even in my craziness before I was unhealed, I always recognized that I could never, I would never be able to be or do what I went without my husband.
That's probably something we need to talk about in counseling. I'm gonna take that too, okay? Because I feel like I don't know. Like my husband's very supportive, very, very, very supportive, and he takes care. But like everybody has their limits, right? So like I want to be conscious of, like if I'm going all the time or the weekend. And that's why I was like, I bought this planner. Okay, it's called Focus. Okay, anyway,
But
but I
you've been
bought this planner
doing
and like usually I suck at like planners. Like me and planners have not gotten along, but I've been like being mindful about it. And like there was this assessment
that.
in
Okay.
there about like where you're at, whether it's financial, romance, and all of those things. So I had some low levels on there. So I've been like intentional about setting a time for us because sometimes that's something I'm not that great at all the time. Like I
Yeah.
always kind of leave it to my husband to do certain things, but I was like, oh, I need to take ownership. I need to be intentional in this space because I'm
Yeah.
intentional about the things that I want to do in my ambitions, but not all the time does that transfer over into my marriage all the time. And
True.
I'm just keeping it funky, keeping 100. Y'all getting. I don't know if anybody else has experienced that transition, like when you're getting ready to transition to bigger and better things, what that looks like, what it takes, what kind of understanding that you have to have with your mate, and how do you get on the same page essentially? Because
Well,
I'm gonna
like you
do
said, I mean, you gotta get intentional though. That's just the
yeah,
same way, like, you prepare for the new baby. You have to, and people have to realize that, like, a business, entrepreneurship, even progressing, advancing in your job, it's almost about that's your baby. Your career is your
yeah,
baby. Your business is
yeah,
your baby. So the
yeah,
same way you prepare, and you're preparing that you're gonna need this additional time to nurture your baby and to nurture, you have to prepare in that same way. You
yeah.
have to
That's how I feel. Like I'm
prepare.
like, okay, I need some
Y'all
more
both have to
money.
be
I
on
need
the
to do
same page
this.
too, though. You have to
So that's
commitment.
so that's why I was like, okay, we probably need to get back into counseling. It's been a while, so we definitely gonna
Yeah,
get back in there to discuss the next level because I don't think we actually been back in counseling since we had her. We the last time we were in
mm,
counseling was when I was pregnant, so that's been about 2 years. So it's
yeah,
time to do some maintenance. Okay, it's time to
yeah,
get back in there. Yeah. So
yeah.
oh, okay, I feel better, y'all. Y'all just I feel so much better. I
You're
needed
gonna
to
be
get that
good.
out.
You're gonna be good, sis. You're gonna be good. You're gonna be good. I'm
Yeah,
already
yeah,
speaking
yeah, yeah.
into existence that it's gonna be a boy. I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna say he. I'm already
He
it's fine. I'm already
I want them to have like all. I
existing.
want all the. My prayer is they just have all their cognitive abilities. They have all their fingers and
Yeah,
toes. All like boy or girl, it don't matter. Like I just want them to
yeah.
be healthy, and I'll take care of everything else from there. But yeah, oh
Girl.
Lord, that made me feel better. Ugh,
That's
I'm
another level of, oh, look, black man said, girl, it's not everybody is wishing these twins on you, but I wouldn't be mad at twins though. I'm gonna be honest, I would not be mad at twins. I would
yes, yes.
not. I would not be mad at twins. I love twins. I love twins. A
First of
child,
all,
yes,
black men, keep that twin energy that you have with your kids, okay? Because black men got a set of twins and they have a whole household too. And I see it like, okay, because black man wife, just kudos to black man's wife
yes,
because she run that ship tight. That is a tight
yes,
ship that she
yes.
runs and just
And
ooh,
everybody
like
is
she
so in order. Yeah, every
yes.
their chores, yeah. I
Yeah,
love.
sometimes you don't even know them kids there because it's so
Yes,
quiet. So
yeah,
like they be in their rooms. They, like okay,
yeah,
Bree, don't wish twins on anyone that's not prepared for them mentally. Like if I get twins, that means that God done gave me something and I'm supposed to make it. I'm gonna fake it till I don't
yeah.
even want to say that. I just want to make it, Lord.
But
Lord.
whatever happens, God
Oh,
is
that's your
going.
structure, but no, your helpmate
But
sustains it.
she puts it in place.
Gone.
Hey, black man, can she have something? See,
Can
you
she
bring
have something?
fabulous energy. Let your wife have that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, because at the end of the day, I done seen her in action with my own eyes, and you weren't
Exactly.
present because you was, in your favorite spot. Now gone.
Exactly. She have them kids, like you said, it's a tight ship. She got it together. I
Yes.
love that.
Okay.
And the village is so important. Just like how we were talking about traveling and, being able to make time for each other. It's my village that has been huge, with that. They offer like to keep the kids. Well, I mean, granted, my brothers, only one of my brother has one child. One of my brothers has one child. Two of my brothers don't have any children. So I always
Hmm.
tell them, I'm like the best uncles in the world. So, like they'll take the kids on trips and just all sort of different stuff. But it's really so important to have, family that's with even without you asking, that are gonna say, oh, do y'all need us to take the kids for a night?
Oh my gosh, my sister is so good at that. She'll be like,
Yeah.
"Okay, it's time for me to get my niece," and like she has all boys, so this little girl
Oh,
like is fulfilling for her because and my other sister has two girls, and then the other ones are kind of big, so like they'll always offer to get her, and like my husband would be like, "You can't be lit," so he's the one who has the kid out of his family, like nobody else.
mm,
His sister is not married or anything like that. And so, like, I don't think he understood the concept of village. He's like, you don't want to, you'll put our daughter anywhere. I was like, no, I'm just not like this is safe places, and we need a break.
yeah.
Like, I always welcome breaks,
Yes, you
sabbaticals, and
have
things like
to.
that. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Sometimes I think that's a fear when people have, even one baby, and definitely when people have multiple kids, that you won't have time for each other, or
Right.
that you're gonna lose, and it's easy to happen. Like you definitely have to be intentional about not making everything, about
Yeah.
the kids and making time, for your child. You definitely
Yeah.
have
That
to.
that first year I felt like, oh, I didn't have a strong sense of self at all. Like I was just like, okay, I'm a mom, I work, and I'm a wife. Like there was no identity that I had for myself at the time. And then when I
Yeah,
started modeling, like that was when I was like starting to come out. Like I didn't experience postpartum or anything like that, thank God. But like just that sense of self, because you are transitioning from singleness, marriage to
yeah,
wife to
and now
mom. Like
mother.
all of that is,
Yeah,
oh, yeah. And
and
then
it's
like
hard to get caught up
childcare.
in.
Whew.
True, yeah. It's a lot of things,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And when you used to all your extra money being for you and your things, now you have,
Now I was like, okay, so now I need a bigger bank. Like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I need a bigger bank, even though we just have one. Like I need a bigger bank because
yeah.
if we gonna have
I mean, it's
two,
expensive.
yeah, it is very expensive to have, and especially in this day and age, like everything is expensive. I know people
Yeah,
who are spending like I don't know, like 15, anywhere between $1,200 and $1,500 on daycare.
yeah.
Like
It is.
that's a mortgage.
It is.
That is a
It is very it's
mortgage.
expensive. I'm so glad that four of my kids are in school now, like because at one point, like it was rough. It was, I think,
Yeah,
the most we've ever had is three in daycare at one time, and it was rough. Like you said, it's a whole mortgage. It's a whole mortgage. It was hard. It was very
that's a
hard.
nice car. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it was hard. So I'm thankful. But as with anything, you'll get through it. It's all you generally it's what, 3, 4 years. Maybe I was looking for the Head Start program where they can go to school, at 3 years old or 4 years old, whatever the case is. Because it's only like 3 or 4 years that they're,
Like, man, go sit down
anything.
somewhere.
Oh no, don't do that. Well, you know what, black man, I'm done. Everybody knows, y'all all know, I was fishing for a girl. I wanted a girl, and so now that I've had this girl, I am done. I'm all
The
the way.
shop is closed.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is done. We have nothing else. Yeah, it's not. It's nothing else over here.
See, yeah, that's why I was saying, Bree. I'm glad we on the same page because that makes me not feel like mom guilt. Okay, that mom guilt where like, I'm not this toddler infant. Like I don't. This ain't my thing. Okay, like this is not my thing. Let me wait till that. My Shawnee was like, you just trying to rush till they 5. I said, yeah, potty train. If you want to adopt. Cause it's not like I ain't saying no. I was like, I don't even know. And some people love to be pregnant, and I'm like, I don't. You about to leave now? Is she asleep? Okay. Um. Uh, Some people like to be pregnant. Maybe they
And
say
see,
you'll
I
miss
was
it.
like that.
You like to be pregnant, sis?
I love it. But girl, can't you tell
Oh,
I had all them kids back to me?
you did. You did have
I
all them
I
kids.
just
You did.
love being pregnant. Everybody's so nice to you. I love being pregnant. And I could eat what I wanted and not feel good. It was just so, I loved it. Until I
Maybe I
had,
wasn't so relaxed. That probably like I was so cautious during my pregnancy that it wasn't. And then I had to be on bed rest, so my experience wasn't like like,
yeah,
oh, like it was not that for me.
different too. Every pregnancy
Yeah.
is different. Just in my experience, the boy pregnancies were easier. So when I had this girl pregnancy, then I saw what everybody was talking about. Because all my boy
Mm,
pregnancies were a breeze. It was like, I did, and like I liked being pregnant. Like I would be out here with my heels on and my outfits
real
like
cute.
you know, I was good with it. But youth, I noticed this pregnancy was like totally different. So I don't know if it was because it was a girl pregnancy and also probably with age. So all my other pregnancies, I was in my 20s. And now that I'm in my
Oh,
30s, yeah, I did
I'm
not really
entering mid 30s.
feel
I'm
so. I didn't have on none, like this was a whole different pregnancy. So I don't know if it's because it was a girl or it might just be
Hmm.
because of age. Because like I said, now I'm in my 30s and it was just, yeah. Child, I wasn't putting no heels on. My feet couldn't even fit into no heels. Yeah, like it was, it was just a totally different scenario.
No, Lance. Lance, you are on your own. Let me tell you. The most thing that I miss is my naps. Like I
And
miss
it's
my
guilt
sleep.
free, right? It's guilt free. And you can eat as much as you want and anything you want, like all guilt free. And I milked it. Oh, I milked it. I had my husband doing all kinds of stuff. Girl,
Well,
all
we
I
had
needed
to
was
like
a little
Shawnee ain't been around no pregnant women like that. So like like his mom had to get on to him about certain stuff. Like my mom, like one
milk.
time, like it was bad. Like I was like crying and stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, like he don't understand what I'm going through and da 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 da. And so like he called he was like, did you tell my mama on me? And I was like, y'all need to get him. Like I had never called his mama on some stuff like that, but I was so emotional and I was like, I done had to go to this doctor's appointment. They done told me this. I gotta be on bed rest and he not understanding. Like, so we had to come to an understanding. And I think that's when one of the times we went to counseling because I'm like, I am going through these things and like I
Yeah.
need and I think men sometimes don't understand what that because they're not physically carrying that. They have their own
Yeah.
thing that they're experiencing, but we can't be in these silos. Like we have to come together and make sure that we're on the same page. Cause I'm like, yeah, but I did snitch and I told my mama. My mama called him and his mama called him, and I don't feel no ways about it. I ain't taking it back. I ain't taking it back. He straightened up.
Like, yeah,
I think
women, can you?
it
Okay,
cut
I think my
out
video
a
went
little
out.
bit.
Okay. If he hadn't been around women, and sometimes I guess we take that for, so he probably just didn't know. He's like, wait a
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He didn't know what to do, but in those spaces, I think the best thing a man can do is be compassionate and
yeah,
like be
whatever.
understanding. Now, some men don't possess because that's like they equate compassion and weakness and all that kind of stuff. And a woman carrying a child is one of the strongest things that she can do, especially
Yes.
delivering a child. And child, I dragged him on into that birthing class so he could see what it is. Like
Yeah.
my background is like in health, women health, and things like that. So I already knew like it's
That's
not
the experience.
men be like, I just want kids, but I'm like, but what does that mean for you? Like, what does that mean for you when you say you want to bring a child in? What you want to do with them? Like, what's your
Right,
plan?
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because it's just not so simple for me. Like, I'm a deep thinker, so like I think about all those things. And he's like, you just be thinking too much. I said, well, that's probably why we together because you balance out my overthinking and like just
But you
calm my
did
stress
figure
and
out
anxiety about it.
that
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, I want to know what your goals are. I want to know like what's your 5-year plan? Like what does that look like? I be wanting to know. Put it on
Yeah.
paper so it's real, so I know that it's real. So I was, am I being? I'm probably being overbearing, but that's how important I think parenthood is because we should be intentional about it. I think people don't think enough. I have like young moms. I just want to be a mom, but I was like, do you understand? What you're bringing in, like how important it is to guide them and not to just dress them up. And like I know certain people bring up like baby showers for these young, and the baby shower is bigger than the wedding because there ain't gonna be no wedding. Like I really want to make sure we are being intentional, especially in a black, yeah, like because we some people feel like we shouldn't celebrate. I think it's a gift. Like, oh, I was
Yeah.
just it's a gift
It,
and an honor. Thank you. It's a
yeah.
gift and an honor, and to understand, why you're bringing. I remember there was a movie or something. All them girls got pregnant at one time, and it was based on a true
Oh,
story. And
yeah, the 16-year-old, yeah, it was called the pact. They had like a pregnancy pact.
childish, okay? Because who in a right mind, like my mom was 15. I think she was married at 16, 7. Like she was young. She was really young. And I just knew early on that that was not the life for me.
Yeah,
Like you don't even have a childhood at that point. Like you ain't experienced
yeah,
your 20s. You ain't,
yeah,
I don't even think I experienced it to the level that I should have experienced my 20s if I would have known what my 20s was for, at the time.
right, yeah,
But like people just be bringing kids in and they don't
yeah.
have a plan or a thought
Mhm.
around it, or they just want to have them. And I'm not that way. I ain't never
Yeah,
been that way.
and I mean, I think that's like definitely commendable that y'all are really like planning and really because so many people don't.
Girl, girl, I
It's
don't. It's me. It's me. Ain't him. He could have popped one in like 5 years ago. Okay, first when we said I do, I could have been pregnant. So it's just me like slowing down the process
yeah,
so that I can adjust. Because I'm like, I'm not
but
that girl.
you were intentional about making sure that you were in a good mental state to bring because I
Hmm.
think too many times so often that happens. People are bringing kids into the world, they're not in the right mental space for it. And then you get these situations where, now they're not parenting a child right or they think they're doing okay, but emotionally, you end up with these kids, which some of us are somewhat a testament to that are kind of like fucked up emotionally
Right,
because the parents weren't in the right mental space themselves to be
right.
able to, so I think that's great.
I can't see myself having it. Like I don't understand when women try to have a second one. Now the kid ain't treating the first one right. I don't understand it. I
Yeah,
don't. I like if my husband was totally awful in that area and left me to do everything, I would not give him another kid. And I know that sounds
yeah,
selfish, but I just wouldn't do it because the support isn't there. I
yeah,
wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't consider it. I wouldn't think about it. Let alone if we wasn't married and then you weren't pulling your like you just want to post them on social media. Like nowadays, people
yes,
just do
the
that stuff for
Instagram
social
daddy.
media. Yeah, Instagram. They, I mean, they got the flyest of threads on them picture, but you ain't seeing
Yeah,
little Ray Ray
the
and them.
outfits be all coordinated.
Yes, yes, yes. No. So no, we're not doing that. So if anyone, the shower bigger than the wedding, because ain't gonna be no wedding. Sorry. I'm just saying it's
Well, it's been a whole thing, and they are having like these lavish showers. Yeah,
lavish.
it's like a whole,
I
a
mean, do what
whole
you do with
thing.
your coin, but like that money that you spending to try to cover the fact that they're not married and that overextending yourself and all of that,
Yeah,
you could be putting that in the college fund or you can go put that in the
true,
business fund instead of spending. I ain't gonna telling people how to do it. I'm just saying,
true.
like some people put on them airs.
It
Goodness.
before you get married, it's not the end of the world. It's not,
Right.
things happen. I got pregnant with my first one before we were married. We were
Hmm.
scheduled to get married, but I ended up getting pregnant before we got married. And it's like,
Hmm.
it is what it is. You still welcome a
Right.
blessing into the world. And but I
I
mean
think that's
it's
that old, like, I mean, I'm kind of like I understand it, but I'm like you could be doing like you're putting on airs at this point. Like let this
that's what it
child just
I mean, just because two people have a child together or because somebody ended up getting pregnant, don't mean that those people should get married or that they should be together.
correct, correct.
Why would bringing up a child in a toxic environment is much worse than bringing up a child in a single family home or where the parents live in two separate households. I would much rather that than two people that really don't want to be together and are only getting married for the sake of because you pregnant, we have a sake of a child. It's gonna be a
Yeah,
toxic relationship. They don't really
yeah.
want to be
I don't
together.
recommend that either. I
Yeah,
don't recommend you just getting married for the sake
yeah,
of to save face.
yeah. And so
You
that's
know,
why I'm okay with, because you have situations too, pulling out condoms, none of that stuff is foolproof. So you have situations too where people was just, sneaky linking, they was just hooking up, they wasn't in a relationship, nothing like that, and somebody happens to get pregnant. And
yeah.
so that's why is when we have to be intentional too and be careful about even who we sneaky linking or whatever the case is. It's a chance
Absolutely.
that you could get pregnant by this person, and now you're entangled with them, pretty much for the rest of your life. So you
For a
do have
long,
to,
long time.
be intentional, and think about that. But like I said, so that's why I'm not a proponent of, just because somebody gets pregnant, they need to get married. No. Why would you
Sure.
subject yourself to a toxic relationship? Now you subjecting that child to a toxic relationship, a toxic environment, a toxic family.
Yes. So, 2 cents, welcome. What is
Well,
your
yeah.
question that you have?
Hi, ladies.
Hello, hello.
So
Hello.
I have a quick question. So I've been hearing a lot of modern women discuss the push gift, and I wanted to get you guys take on the push gift because one of our friends, she just had a baby, and her fiance called me and my husband because he was like, man, I ain't never heard no push gift. Like, so what kind of gift am I gonna get if she gets the push gift? So they were going back and forth, and she was just like, well, I feel like if I give him a baby or go through the process that I deserve a push gift. So it was new to me, and we're really traditional. So I wanted to get you guys take on the whole push gift idea.
So you can start, mother. I go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm a believer in the push gift. I mean, it's a lot. I really am. Child, I got a refrigerator. I wanted this special refrigerator with the TV screen on the front of it, and that's what I got for my push gift for my daughter. And I feel like, and then the fact that because my husband, so total, it's 8 boys together. The fact that it's 8 boys, and I finally gave him a girl. Oh yeah, I needed like the ultimate push gift. And this is terrible. It's probably low key toxic. Like I'll be saying to my husband, "Oh, I did for you what no bitch could. Like I didn't give you a girl. Like so I'm gonna ride on that. Like I'm gonna ride on that for the next 18 years. The fact that I gave her. But I just don't
I'm
believe it because it's so much that we go through as women to have a baby and even to bring it, not just bringing them into this world and delivering them, but even the whole process, like 40 weeks, preparing. And I think sometimes like men, or if people have never been through it, you don't understand, how hard it is on your body and having, another human life, like basically taking from you. So you, before they even are earthside, you pour it into them already for 40 weeks, for 10 months. So it's a whole sacrifice. It's all those things. So I'm a proponent of the push gifts. That's just me.
so my point of view on the push gift is, first of all, it's new. That has not always been around. So if people don't
True.
acknowledge it, then that's on them. So I understand that people don't want to acknowledge it, but I think it is a small, big gesture of a token of appreciation for that long as time you were sitting there being pregnant. Like, it's a choice of yours, but to carry a child, I get it. Like, I got to upgrade on my ring. So that was my gift. So we went and picked that out, and it was, a little blank blank.
Yes.
So like, and he didn't understand. He was like, push gift. And so my cousin, or his cousin, she my cousin now, I take her. And so my cousin was like, yeah, you gotta get your wife a push gift because blah 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 blah. Like, you need to make sure, you need to hook it up. And so that's what he came up with. Like, I didn't tell him that's what I wanted, but that's something that I will definitely take. I think it's to each his own. But if he's so against it, like, what's my gift? First of all, you ain't carrying that baby, son,
You sure did.
husband, uncle,
True.
whatever male this is to you, like whoever it is, you're not carrying that baby. So that is just a small token. Like, yes, you have to put up with the hormones and making sure she fed and all that stuff, but you're not carrying that baby. And that's a whole nother. And that's why
Right.
I love them videos of the men doing the fake contractions. Like, I love those videos,
Yes.
watching them
And
men
they
go
be
through them
about to die,
contractions.
child. About to die.
Die. And they be
Just
having those
dead.
period cramps and stuff. Like, girl, I love those videos because, and then the newest one I saw with the watermelon, she strapped it around her husband and they
Oh
went out.
yes.
And because you don't understand it until you're in that situation,
Yes.
and they could not
Yeah.
handle it. When my husband saw me deliver my baby, he was like, oh, you the strongest person I know. Like,
Yeah.
he grasped it. Like, women are strong in their own way. And that
Yes.
childbirth is one of those ways that we all
Yeah.
could. I can't. What's gonna come? Like I can't even see a man doing that. So yes, push gift.
No,
Shoot,
they
I think
cannot.
our
push
pain
push
threshold
gift
is
out.
much higher than men because
Yeah.
even though they're stronger, I know for a fact, like your husband told you, my daughter, my second and last child, she was 10 pounds. So, and I was supposed to get an epidural, but they had an emergency, so I didn't get to get the epidural. So it was all
Oh
natural birth.
no.
And he told me afterwards, he was like, because when I had my son, he was a preemie baby, so he had a motorcycle accident. He didn't get to see the experience,
Mhm.
but he was like, he would advise any male not to look. He was like, don't look. He was like, it traumatized him, but it's a beautiful thing. But he was just
Yeah.
like, I don't get how that happened. And he talked about it for a long time. Like, how did you do that? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was
I
just like,
watched
I
I
just
watched
can't
my niece.
imagine.
Ooh, I watched my niece be born, and I didn't have kids at the time, and I feel like that added another year of me not trying because I was like,
I'm like, no, I'm not doing. No, my husband taped it for the first three. He taped them coming out,
Oh, see,
and
they don't
it was.
allow video
I'm like,
recording.
yeah, they so the first three with the last with my fourth son, they told him he couldn't record it, and then I had a C-section with my daughter with the last one, and so they didn't let her record it. But the
Shut
first
up,
three,
black
he
man.
taped it, and so when I was watching Black Man talk about Jurassic, I know
that's why I was like, these
you
babies is big
two
these
because
days.
a 10
8 to
pound
10
baby
pounds, that's a
naturally,
lot.
like, oh my God. So shout out to you. Yeah. I had
Listen,
Yes,
that
my
was a
biggest
traumatic
one.
experience.
Oh my goodness. My biggest one, my son was 8'14". So my daughter, that was the thing. My daughter was 9'4". So that's why I had to have a C-section with her because they didn't think I could push her out. So I couldn't even imagine like having a 10-pound baby naturally. Oh my God.
Notice
look,
I said that was my second and last child as well.
Oh my goodness.
second and last. I'm right, like
And then
she
you get
came
it
early,
naturally. Oh my God.
girl.
I didn't
Poor,
sign up for that, okay? I did not sign up for natural.
no ma'am, no
My
ma'am.
goodness.
Oh my
So,
Wow.
but
God.
ironically though, my pelvis it shifted. So I walked like with a
With a
um
limp. You walk with a
yes, with a
limp,
limp for
Christian.
like the 6 weeks afterwards.
Oh wow.
Yes.
That's why I'm like your spine literally pushes back for that baby. Like it's so God, okay? Like, ooh,
Yeah.
God is a woman. I know that's
Right.
controversial, but like to be able to do that, like it's crazy what our body actually like. I had to go get
Yeah.
chiropractic services like after the baby because my hips, everything was just off. Okay, just off.
Yeah.
So shout out to you 2 cents because
I
Right.
appreciate it. So do you
Oh my
guys think
goodness.
too, as we have children, that each child we transfer some of our energy or our ability, each child that we kind of like take a hit for ourselves in regards to our ability or like intelligence, because you know how they say with each kid you pass on some of your brain cells and we get scatterbrain with children and just your energy is different. Do you guys believe that as well?
so I mean I don't I mean I think your hormones and all of that kind of affects that, but I understand energetically that you're giving like you're literally giving life to the child, but I feel like they come in with their own energy. And that's just like I don't think you're going to pass off those things, especially with behavioral and spiritually in some aspects. And it's what is it called, epigenetics? I think that they use, and it's basically how if there is a fear. The best example I have is that my good one of my good friends, she has a set of twins, and so her biggest fear is that she'll drive off a bridge and like die in the water or something, like she can't get out, right?
No.
So epigenetics says that basically some of those things, those ideas and those, feelings or whatever can be passed down genetically to your child. And so one day she was watching her daughter watch videos of how to break out of her car if it ever went into the water. Now she
Wow.
never told her daughter that, but the fact that her daughter was looking into how to get out, like it's kind of like a testament to how the next generation will be better than us. Because imagine like she being trapped as the mom, but her daughter is breaking out. So I
True.
thought that was like really, really cool how so I do believe that you do pass on things genetically to your child.
So
Yeah.
that's the way to look at it in a positive. But I can say, like, in our
Oh
family,
yeah.
there's a lot of individuals, they don't like to fly, they don't like to travel farther than like 30 miles outside of wherever they live. They have a fear, this anxiety of the unknown. And my sister and I have been able to get, like, my mom and some of her sisters to get out of that. But there's still some that are like 60 years old now. They have never been outside of 30-mile radius of where they live. They have this
Well,
inherent fear that they pass down even to some of their children, that they have a fear of going anywhere outside of that radius. And we're just like blown away. But now that you put that perspective out here, that makes perfect sense.
well, I think
Yeah.
sometimes like some of it is environmental. And I think,
Okay.
when we say inherently pass it down, if you're hearing and if that's what you're around as a kid, I'm not getting on no plane. I ain't going nowhere. This is scary.
Yeah.
This or that. We get, kind of that thought process in our mind that says, "Oh no, I don't need to fly. That's scary. I don't need to go anywhere," and that just becomes ingrained in you. So I think
Right.
sometimes it can be external, like environmental forces,
Mm-hmm.
um, that
Mm-hmm.
cause children to think a certain way. Even with like some of those generational curses, I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that is genetics or that's passed down to you. I think as a product of your environment, from hearing that, that's that frames your mindset, and so you begin to believe. You're a product of what is fed into you, what's poured into you as a child, and
Yeah.
so we know how it is.
I think it's
Whatever,
both. Yeah. I
my
think it's
family.
both.
Yeah, it can be both. Yeah, but I do think that some concepts are, kind of environment based. I know for me, whatever my mom said, my grandma, whatever, like that was law, and that's what I was. It was very small minded. That's what I believe to be true. My grandma could have,
Yeah.
or my mom or my grandma could have said, every night after 6 o'clock, the sky turns purple. And even though I had never seen that, that's what I would have believed. I would have been telling people that. So I
So
think
what
a
age,
lot of
what was the
it's the
age when you
environmental.
realized that everything they said wasn't true? The realization age, when you
Ooh.
realize that the things that they told you, there were some things that they just weren't true, and you developed your own sense of self,
Self.
or
I know
understanding.
for me, it's been, a lot of different times, and even now with different things, in my like relationship, I can't say that because I think for my mom, maybe she thought they were true, and that was her perspective and how she was brought up. But a lot of things I'm seeing for myself that for me are not true. I think a lot of things for like my mom had to do with her perspective and had to do with what she was exposed to. And
Mm-hmm.
so now I don't think that she knew. I honestly don't think that she even knew that those things weren't true. I think she had been brought up around it and she thought they were true. Um, and so now I'm kind of, noticing it. So I don't feel any way, on some things against my mom and like, oh, she taught me wrong. I give her grace and I'm able to understand that, okay, she didn't know either. She thought it was true. And so she taught it to me. And it just kind of is what it is. And so now that in order to break some of those generational curses, I'm glad that I'm able to have been enlightened and have, been able to heal and know the truth, on some things and some behaviors and that sort of thing. And so that I won't teach my daughter things that are, incorrect or not true.
Right. That's good.
Yeah. My thing, I think I was very young when I was. So in certain environments, it's like you are the child, so you can't think always outside of the box. Do as I say, not as I do. Like all of those things just never resonated well with me. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. So at a very young age, I felt that way. When I turned 19, I started to get into counseling and things like I was always a bit different from my family, although we are the same. I just had a different, like I read a lot of books. I was like that was my escape. Like I would read. So I could have this different fantasy, whatever the hell that was going on. I could just go to a book. That was like my coping mechanism was reading. And so not that I was in this traumatic type situation, but the aftermaths of some of the things that I experienced, that was one of the things that I turned to was reading, was just skating. Like I would just do these little activities that would give me peace at the time. I didn't know what that was, but you know, but yeah, at a very young age, I started to discover like everything isn't what it is. And I developed a voice very early. I would always, I feel like I'm the whistleblower of my family. And so, with that being stated, you know, I'm always the one who is going to speak truth to power, even if it's uncomfortable for other people. And so, like, that's not everybody's thing or title, but it's one of my things. And so, I definitely had to make sure, like, now I can say it with tact, you know, because at first I just say it, lay it all on out, and I wouldn't care. Like I like this is wrong, y'all wrong. Like I would go off and go on these tangents and things like that. But yeah, so I started to develop very young, and then as I've gotten older, like it's just a journey. So some of the things that you were taught, like I didn't realize how much I needed my mom during my pregnancy. And so there were some things in our relationship that needed work and that needed fine tuning and things like that before my baby got here earthside. And so we were able to work through those things. But I think having that awareness, like I don't have to be my mom, or I don't have to be my aunt, or I don't have to be anybody for that matter. That was very young. And then like unlearning those different habits that and those environmental things that mother was talking about, like, and just like, okay, we don't have to do it this way. Like we could do it our own way, or I could have my family. Like I'm big on traditions too. So I'm like modern, traditional, like I have a various of things that I like to include with my family. So I think it started at a young age, but I got more confident in walking the road or the path less, you know, like less desired. And so like that happened very young for me personally. So yeah. And I'm gonna push my daughter to have her own. Like just because mommy says it doesn't mean it can't be true for you. So I don't want to embed like this is my experience or whatever, but you get to have whatever experience you want. Like I'm just gonna keep pouring into her because certain things I wasn't able to do that I want her to do. And if she doesn't want to do
Yeah.
those, it's fine. But I want to at least expose her to those things that seem unattainable. I don't even
Right.
want her to see limits, you know, at the end of the day. I want to see her thrive and make it realistic because her daddy's gonna bring in that realistic side because that's him. Like he's very black and white, very realistic, whatever. And I'm the dreamer. And so like I feel like she'll have a good balance with her limits, but to also expand that. Like don't ever think that you have to be this way or you have to be like either of your dad or myself. Like I want you to have your own individuality when it comes to living life and your human experience. So yeah.
So that's awesome that she has that balance too between you and your husband. And then, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I think the generation of our parents, they were heavy on when you said that you were the whistleblower, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's a big deal. I don't think people really understand it. What in our community, or especially like in our family, we had a lot of people that push stuff up on the road, all those family secrets, and don't
Mm-hmm.
say anything offensive. I mean, they just shunned it. I don't understand how they developed that way of protection, but things went
Mm-hmm.
on for so long and they just hid it. And I think all of that hidden trauma, it affected us, our generation. And now that we're actually speaking up and against it, initially I can say that there was no support for our generation speaking up against things.
Oh no. What?
Yeah.
I mean, I got cussed out by everybody. Like, I mean, it's not an easy journey, but I want to make it
No.
easier for the next generation because you see
Yeah.
these what is it, Gen Z that's coming up? They don't take
Yeah.
no mess.
Oh,
No.
they
They
don't.
will quit a
Not at
job.
all.
Like they'll be like gone. Like, oh, you
Yeah.
mistreated me? Goodbye. Like they
Well,
they are not
I
putting up no.
love that they have that though. I really love that about them. Like they are
Yeah.
not like even in terms of like race relations, and if you see like now it's a lot of them that are on the front lines and that are organizing these rallies and that are doing a lot of those just because they seem to have a different mindset. They really have a mindset of if someone is not
Business,
treating you
essentially.
equitably, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that you do something about it. And like you said, even in the workplace, child, they are not finna. But I was looking at this study that said that Gen Z, just on the strength that they will leave a job and move to another job, are gonna make $1 million more than like baby boomers and previous generations over the span of their lifetime. Just on that strength, not on them being a good employee, on the strength alone that they're willing to leave jobs. They're not cut out to be like, oh, how a lot of baby boomers, a lot of us were about you stay at your job for 30 years, your retirement. They're not about it. If they don't feel like they're making an impact, if they don't like the way things are being managed or being done within the company, deuces, they are leaving.
Right.
They're moving on to a place where they feel valued and where they feel like they're making an impact. So I admire that about them. And I think that's just going to translate into exactly what we're talking about. Like they're not going to be putting up with their foolishness in their families, which I think is great because I think a lot of the problem with like previous generations and a lot of this like sweeping stuff under the rug, nobody, it's a child molester in the family and nobody want to say anything about it. Like that's a
Yeah.
problem. You still
Yeah.
let people bring their kids around there. Like, why? So I'm glad, that they have that capacity and that they're going to speak up about. They're not going to, let it just go down like that. Because some of the things that we, especially as a people, like to sweep under the rug. And I hate some of the rhetoric. Like y'all gonna sweep under the rug the family child molester, but y'all gonna disown the gay uncle. Like
Yeah.
some of the rhetoric, it's yeah. Some of the rhetoric
Say it.
to me,
Okay.
it's all, yeah, it's
Give me
all,
the gay uncle any day, please.
yeah,
Please.
And I
yeah.
So
agree with Lance's statement too that he just put in the chat. But do you guys think that although I applaud them for their upfront, blunt and blatant, you know, power, but does that also show that they don't have balance because they don't have a high level of endurance or stamina for disappointment, embarrassment, or dissatisfaction, which concerns me because they go off the handle on this simplest, smallest thing that usually we would take and take with stride. We'll keep it pushing, but it offends them so greatly that they just blow up. They're impulsive when it comes to
it's
those things.
it's like a catch 22 because at the
So,
same
yeah,
time, like we could take, like we were used to and accustomed to taking abuse. So it seems
Yes.
like if it's not your thing, like when people have made fun of certain groups and all of that, like to have a level of sensitivity, I think it's important. I'm with them. Like my thing is, if I understand like some like certain celebrities have gotten in trouble around jokes and things like that, but if it's not your group, then you don't understand how that affects them. So it has created a more sensitive group of people, but I don't know if that's always a bad thing because it's like if you're talking about representation, if you're talking about making sure that people are being seen and treated fairly, when you think about trans life and how they are murdered, they don't
yeah,
have a lifespan of over 35. Like, and why is that? Because of certain things have been okay. So if we all got to get sensitive for other people to feel comfortable, I'm okay with that. I
yeah,
do feel like, we have normalized trauma in a way because our society, like our history is very traumatic, especially as Black people. And so like I feel like we are getting better every generation. There has been improvements. That's just how I view it from slavery until now. Like I feel like there has been a lot of improvement with our community. I know people love to look at the highlights and these celebrities and all that as a reflection of Black folks, but it's not. That's just like a small piece of all the things that we're able to do. So it, in a way, it does, but it makes sure that you don't get taken advantage of. If you know
True.
your rights, if you know your, like, if you have a voice, if you have some knowledge, that you can actually utilize that to not only be a better person, but be a better person to society and those around you. And so half the time people have disregarded others, and it's been okay. Whether you've been handicapped, whether you have been, you know, trans, LGBT, like any of that, like you have been disregarded if you
True.
weren't just a certain way. And so I totally understand that it'll be a little sensitive until there's a balance where
So
people can like make fun, but not in a way that is harmful or that causes discourse on a consistent basis for other groups of people.
I think the issue though is in regards to the sensitivity is that there's not a guideline. So the rules are all skewed. There's no black and white. There's just gray. Which
True.
so that's a concern for me in regards to helping them understand the rules by which they follow and that everything won't be accepted because if we accept everything, then
Mhm.
I mean what's there? There'll just be a world of so many different things that we don't have anything to identify. This is not just in regards to the LGBT community either. This is in regards to everything in life. If
Mm-hmm.
you're saying that you're a vegan and I'm a vegetarian and I'm a meat eater, and if I say that because you're a meat eater, I say something offensive, then you're so sensitive and you go and self delete yourself, and you're thinking like, wait, I was just talking about what you eat. Like it's not that serious. That's where I see that we're going, especially with
Mm-hmm.
mainstream media and the internet. I see that's becoming the issue where when things happen, they don't know how to properly respond or accept and receive the criticism or the critique because they don't understand disappointment or dissatisfaction or failure.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
there's
and
a
then
lack of account. It could be a lack
cultures
of accountability. Mm-hmm.
putting like even my kids play soccer or whatever, everybody get a trophy if they lose or whatever the case is. And I don't necessarily think that. I think we have to prepare our kids too for failure and for disappointment. It's like, okay, everybody that's a participant, you're a winner. And I like to know, and I acknowledge to my kids, I impart to them, even though they're young, like, no, you didn't win. You got a participation trophy, but you did not win. You
Right.
guys lost. So I make sure that they know what failure is. Because I think that's, even though I love and I think there's a lot of pros, a lot of good, aspects of Gen Z, I think that is one of the things. They don't handle failure or disappointment well. And I think there has to be a balance. I think you have to impart to your children that you're not always going to win and you are going to have some struggle. No matter how far we've come, there is going to be some struggle. As humans, we innately are going to struggle, no matter your race, your gender, sexuality, any of that. There's going to be some struggle involved in your life. And there will be times where you fail, or there will be times that you face disappointment. And so I think we have to, just prepare them for that. I think it has to be like a balance to it because I'm
Yeah.
so against the everybody's a winner because, if you're playing a game, it's going to be a loser. Somebody's going to lose. Like they give participation trophies to everybody. And I definitely, for me, I don't want my children to think that mediocre performance is going to be rewarded because they'll be sorely disappointed. It'll be a swift slap in the face when they get out in the real world and figure out that that's not how things go. So I prefer for them to learn it from me.
Right. And that's what Estella said, a world of parents, because everybody complains about everything and they think that
Yes.
you should give them the highest regard and respond to each and every little nuance that they have in regards to something. Now, Black Man had a question. He said that he wanted you guys to answer.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
about
Yeah.
I
Where is
saw
it at?
that.
If you want to have a
I
child.
think my thing about that is I'm gonna build my child up, no matter whatever. I think we all have something that works for us. And I'm gonna build my child up. I don't care if my baby got two strands of hair and she looked like whatever. I'm gonna build her up to be proud of who she is, to be proud of her lineage, to be proud of what she comes from. I'm gonna build her up.
Right.
Confidence and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So whatever it is that the world standards of, I'm gonna have my baby so confident that they're not gonna be able. How many times have we seen people, said men? They may not be the best on the eyes, but the way that they move,
Right.
women, like their sex appeal, their confidence, and that's what you're thinking, what? He is kind of cute. Or he is kind of cute, because of, those attributes and their confidence. To me, and maybe I'm different, but confidence and all those things are very attractive to me and are very sexy.
They are.
So if I had a child that maybe wasn't like I said, I'm gonna have, I don't care what my kids look like. I build all my kids up and have their confidence so high that when they step out into the world, nobody can, no, nothing anybody can say to them, is gonna make them doubt or like make them question themselves because they're getting their confidence from home. And I mean, who's to say, again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So who's to say, what's pretty or what's, beautiful, what's cute,
Somebody
what's
for
sexy?
everybody.
Yeah. I
I have a
mean,
great
And that's if you
example.
want. That's if you want to be with somebody. Maybe you don't want to be with nobody.
right?
So I have a brother. When he was 3, he got third-degree burns, right? So when we were in school growing up, I used to always, because when he began school on the school bus, I had to defend and protect them because the other kids didn't understand. And then he sometimes had to wear that mask that kind of like pulls your skin to hold it tight. So the
Yeah.
kids used to pick at him and stuff. And so our principal, we stay in a small community. So our principal had an entire assembly, and she talked about, fire safety and what happens when you get burned, and like the treatment and the care that is required in order for you to recover. So after that, things got better. But I will say that when he got in the middle school to high school, it was different because I was like, how are we going to protect them from the girls? Or he wants to date like the rest of the guys. Like, is that going to be a problem? And when I tell y'all, he has more confidence than all of us put together. And he's had more girlfriends and people that are more attracted to him than it's it's amazing to me. Because at
It's
first it was
confidence.
something that I was so concerned about. And he's like 6'3", but he has this swag in his body language. And then a lot of the scarring on like one side of his face is still there. But then you can basically see the other side and it complements. I think the more people look at him, I've talked to some of his girlfriends, they say the more that they've been with him and his personality, they really don't notice his scars as much because of his personality. If that helps anybody.
Oh
Yeah.
But I
yeah.
think it's
I mean, I
different.
don't. For a long time, I never even looked at a man really. Like I had a boyfriend. I didn't even notice his gap for like a long time. Like I
Mhm.
was like, you got a gap in your mouth. I didn't even know because I am listening to your heart. I'm listening to the words you're saying. I'm listening to how you interact with other people. Are you a good person? And that's kind of how I will
Right.
raise my daughter, is to be a person who can accept anyone, especially if they're not causing harm or doing damage and things like that. Just to have a level of compassion for people that may not look like you or may do things differently, or understand that your life can change in a jiff. Like your life may not
True.
be,
Right.
you could be walking one day and mobilize the next. So it just, we had a little girl at the time who was wheelchair bound at our church. And so she always had like a ball of energy. She's like modeling now and she be traveling like she
Oh,
is living her life to the fullest,
Wow.
and she's not letting anything stop her. And so like because I was exposed to that, there's a level of sensitivity and understanding, and just the way it speaks to her parenting, like how the parents made sure that they felt like they prepared them mentally for the world. And so I think that was really awesome. I think Bree had a question in here: has parenting evolved for the world we live in? Absolutely. Like I feel like we have
yeah.
evolved a lot, because now there's this gentle parenting, and I keep putting my fingers up like that because everybody hasn't accepted, but like I'm seeing more and more. Also, Manifest Destiny is on Instagram, and she is awesome with breaking down gentle parenting and things. There's a lot of different content creators, but I love her content of how to like break down your emotions and their emotions and all of those different things, and how to maneuver in a way that is more that is less traumatic than what we experience, growing up. So yes, I do believe that we are evolving
And I
overall,
think
even in
fathers
that
play
space.
a very integral role in the building up of confidence, especially for girls. And maybe the
Yeah.
same too for young men too, giving them that ego boost or instilling pride in them. But I know my dad, when I was little, I don't care if I wrote like on my ABC paper, he used to be like, this is the best paper ever written in the world. He was like, you got the best handwriting ever. He was like, Cat Lady, you the best. Anything I did, I was the best. And I was always the pretty girl, the pumpkin pie. I don't know what I look like to other people, but my dad had told me that, I was beautiful and I was pretty and I was his pumpkin pie and I was the best. So when I went out into the world, the things they threw at me, it wasn't as harsh as if, that hadn't been instilled in me. But I can say, like, from people that may have not had that growing up, it is a cruel world, like Black Man Offensive was saying. It's extremely cruel to a person's psyche and their self-esteem when you get out into the world, and what they perceive is not the same thing that you see in yourself. So, like you guys are saying, though, once we do the job at home and making sure that they feel like that, it kind of puts a shield up against some of the things that they would be confronted with.
Yeah. I mean, I don't ever want my child to think that your path is not going to have some things. I want to teach them to overcome obstacles, not that the obstacles won't come. Like that's unrealistic to act like that their whole path in life is going to be, there may be a point in time where I'm not here anymore. Like, so we definitely have to make sure that we prepare them even in our absence. And that's financially, that's like leaving a legacy, making sure that they have the tools that they need and they're just not out here. And that, I mean, I feel like that's why the Black family is so important. Like it's so important because we understand our parents being told that they weren't anything because of the color of their skin. And then for us to be like melanin popping, like that is a testament of how things have changed in a way, like just our self-esteem and, women like expressing their sexuality. That's a whole nother topic, but I'm just saying like that those things we're celebrating and bringing to light, so yeah, I think we've grown a lot.
I have a little pushback on that regarding the sexuality and the self-esteem, because sometimes it can be delusional.
They ain't the same, but I understand what you're saying. They ain't the same, but
like you said, that's a whole nother topic.
Right. Well, it was nice chatting with you ladies. I don't know if we're gonna plan conversation going, but I have to bow out. I have to take the little guys to get some things for school. They, of course, Valentine's Day is Monday, so we're gonna prepare all that for the kids. So I need to kind of get some things done. But it was great talking with you guys. I love, everybody being in the comments. Shout out to Les, Brianna, Sister Hale, Sir Hale, everybody that was there and that came through and showed us some love today. We appreciate you guys, and make sure that you guys like, and if you like the video, like the page, and if you have not subscribed to Black Men Unfiltered Network, definitely do that. Support Black media. This man gives his time. I mean, he's on there every day of the week, sometimes 2 or 3 days a week, 2 or 3 times a day. So he is doing his thing. And so I want to shout out to Black Man for giving us a platform, to, do all these things and to be able to have these conversations for the men and the women. So shout out to him, and be sure again that y'all are liking and subscribing to the page. So that's my 2 cents. It was very nice again chatting with you all.
We just want to thank you all once again for coming in and winding down with real women. You guys take care and have a great day. All right.
Bye.
Peace.
Bad little flex, she wanna know me. I stay low key, all gas, no breaks, baby, let them hoes sleep. Body on 10, make your girl OD. I get in my way, never out of my lane. Feel like you the one and I'm on one. So what it's gonna be? Baby, squad up, we finna go deep. Riding on a team, got what you need. Baby, won't you keep me company? Give me something to do when I get lonely. I got something for you when we get home. If you let me put it down. When I hit the town, you should ride on me. Keep your mind on me. On try, baby, I think you should side with me. Stay solid one time if you lie with me. Just promise you never lie to me. Keep the moves on tuck. I know it's all love. Everything good. Keep the vibes on crush. I know it's all good. Know it's all love. Know it's all love. I've been feeling like I'm feeling like your man lately. Can't nobody do it like I can daily. Baddest in the land. Body turn your nigga to a fan up. I made it.